You did it again. You did, brother. Why?
Is that right?
No.
There we go. All right, guys. Welcome to Third Eye Truth There podcast. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I was pushing buttons way ahead. Didn't realize what I was doing. All right, guys. This is the 102nd episode of the Third Eye Truth Theorem. We are July 2nd, new month, 2025, downtown St. Joseph, Michigan. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys. I am your host, James Gill. This is my co-host, Joe Hill.
Still here.
We have a special guest today. Jason Lee, well-known radio personality in the area. Welcome to the show, sir.
How are you guys, man? It's great to be here.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
That's a great little setup you got there. That's pretty fun. I like it.
Yeah, I have to figure out, still figure out the buttons, but I'm getting
As you
had it
can,
for about
hey,
a
I
year.
noticed.
Maybe I had one of that. But this one, no.
Here,
Yeah, I'm getting it. Maybe it's the buttons.
turn mine down.
What?
No, it's not the buttons. Turn. Yeah, there you go.
Is that better for you?
That's a little bit better. It's getting better. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
How
there you
about
go.
that?
That's good. Better. It's getting easier. I'll stop messing with it.
Yeah.
I can live with it.
Sure.
Yes.
I think that's right there. There we go.
Yeah. Whatever. So, Jason, let people know who you are and where you come from right now, because a lot of people really don't know who Jason was back then and is now.
Well, where do I start? At the beginning? Originally
Yeah.
from Central Illinois. Been doing radio now for probably, geez, man, I don't want to put it. I like to say 10 years, but I know it's like 25. Because when you put that quarter century mark with it,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it becomes very real, and you realize that I've dedicated about half my stinking life to this thing. And that's hard to admit, to yourself, that
Yeah.
when you've dedicated half your life to something, I don't care if it's a job or if it's marriage or whatever, that's a lot of time. And so, yeah, I don't know, 25 years or so, I started off in Peoria, Illinois, and actually I started off at Pekin, Illinois, and then I went to Peoria, Illinois, and then I ended up here in St. Joe, Benton Harbor, and then we went down to South Bend, which is where we broadcast now. And so we're on a radio station in South Bend, 103.9 The Bear, and then we're on 98.9 The Bear in Fort Wayne, and so we're adding stations slowly. Yeah. So we're learning out that's a syndication game that we thought, as soon as we signed a syndication deal, we thought, all right, show us the stations. We also thought, here comes all the money. And then the syndication thing takes long time, so much time.
Yeah.
Really?
And so we're learning how to play the game. I mean, there's not really much of a game. It's convincing radio people that there's a different way of doing things. So the radio industry is a very weird industry, as you've got this is the way everyone is looking for a new way of doing things, but they refuse to stop doing the old way of things. Like, we're a talk show, we're 4 hours of straight talk, and we used to be, music, we would play 4 or 5 songs an hour, and they said, why don't we try it without the music? My partner and I, Cluck, we're all big fans of that, because when you're playing music, you get to screw around.
Yeah.
So we're eating breakfast, we're screwing around, we're goofing around. So when they said we're going to take the music away, we panicked. We're like, we don't want to take the music away, because that's, when we, we goof around. So they took the music away. They said, we think that we've got something if we take the music away. I mean, we were already, we were number one in South Bend, we were number one in every demo. We were number one 12 plus. I mean, we're number one across the board. Why mess with this? And they said, let's take it away and see what happens. And so we reluctantly took the music away. And then our ratings just exploded. We couldn't believe how many people were punching out because of the music. So they put us on the Fort Wayne station, which is twice as big as our South Bend audience and our South Bend station. And they said, all right, we got to figure out a way to make this bigger. So as we approach other stations now who claim they want to do something different, but they don't want to let go of the way that they do things. You can't have it both ways, right? They're waiting for somebody else to reinvent the wheel so they don't have to do it. So what the problem that we're running up with is people don't want to let go of the music. And so we're trying to figure out ways, all right, well, how can we incorporate music here and then fade it out eventually once they understand, and not have to do music where we're already very successful. It's a weird dichotomy that we're trying to figure out right now. But I mean, we'll get it figured out. But it's also, when you talk to radio listeners, what's the number one thing people tell you? What's the best thing about radio? What's the thing you go to radio for? Everybody answers music.
Yeah.
Research shows that's not true.
Really?
That music is not the number. Look at all the talk shows.
Okay.
Look at all the talk shows that play music. I don't care if you're going Bob and Tom, if you're going Howard Stern, you could go with our little show. Shows that don't play music are the successful shows in the market. If music was the number one thing, essentially you would walk into the morning, you would push play, it would shuffle an iPod, or an iPhone.
Yeah.
And then you'd be number one. That's not how it works. You walk into the morning, you just play music, you're fucking dead in the water. You're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going nowhere if you just play music. So, but radio refuses to let go of that idea. So that's what we're up against. So
Actually, I didn't expect that.
and then the other part is now I'm just, I'm looking at my clock. I'm going, man, I don't have many more years left of this. So maybe we can speed this thing up a little bit.
So the transition was pretty smooth, is what you said? As far as going from listening to having music being on your a part of your show.
Yeah, it was super smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one, it was nice. And I know that my bosses would kill me if I said this, because it's radio. You're supposed to keep everything concise, condense it down, keep it simple, keep it quick.
Yeah.
Because that's where they say the ratings are at. Well, when you stretch it into a 4-hour talk show, that's a long time, man. That is a long time to talk every single day. So you kind of have to learn how to drag things and stretch things out a little bit and slow the pace down and relax things a little bit. And I think you get a better conversation. Why do you think podcasts are so popular?
Yes. Yeah.
It's because you're not working in those 15-minute increments where you got to cram one subject in. You could sit down, you can relax, and it's a real conversation. So that's what we try to do with our show, is make it a real conversation with lots of screwing around and wise ass comments.
There you go.
Don't you have a podcast after the show?
Yeah, we have a pod. That was, we were also reluctant to do that. Basically, if it comes to doing work, we don't want anything to do with it. They're like, we're going to take the music away. That's extra work. We're like, oh no, we don't like that at all.
Oh shit.
And then they said, hey, we want you guys to do a podcast. I don't do a podcast, man. We are talked out at the end of those 4 hours every day. You don't have anything left to talk about. So we're like, all right, well, let's do, because we're both huge music geeks. Everybody gets into radio is a music geek. That's just the
point.
Yeah.
That's why you got into the business, right? And so we said, well, let's do a music podcast. And then they said, well, you can do a music podcast, but you can't play music because of some weird licensing stuff. Man, I don't know. I hear these knuckleheads.
Well, aren't they licensing it for you?
That was at that time where they couldn't figure out. The record companies are like, wait a minute, you're already paying us once, but I don't think you're paying us for the internet stuff. It was a real weird time where nobody could figure out what to do. And so, so we're like, okay, let's do a cool music podcast. They said, we can't do the music because we don't have the license for it. I'm like, every knucklehead on the planet is doing a goddamn music podcast. There are like 47 Kiss podcasts where those nerds are playing Kiss songs and talking over the top of them. I said, that's what we can. They said, no, you can't do that. I'm like, well, what would our audience want us to do? And so we just took it to the audience. We said, hey, they're going to make us do a podcast. That's even where the name of the podcast came from. Here's your freaking podcast, because we didn't want to do it. We're like, all right, here's your freaking podcast. And so we just asked the audience, we're like, hey, if we did a podcast, what do you want out of it? And it was almost unanimous. Out of 2,000 people that texted us, 1,999 of them, only one guy was a standalone. Everybody else said, we want to hear you guys curse. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's easy. So it's evolved into, we take like stories that are too much for radio, because we don't want to be the shock jocks. We don't want to be, the man cows or the Howard Sterns. We don't want to, we don't want to upset people, really. And so those stories that are just a little bit too far, we put them on the podcast, and then we curse, and that's it. And it's incredibly successful. Yeah, it doesn't. Does it make sense to me? No, it doesn't make sense, but I guess I get it.
Yeah.
If my favorite radio guys when I was growing up, if I could have heard them say the F word, I'd have fucking been there in a second.
Tune in every day.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, that's fucking shit.
I know. See, I don't know why. I don't care how old you get.
Well,
it's always going to be exciting.
Yeah.
To hear someone curse that isn't supposed to curse, it's very exciting.
Is that what we got to do? Is this curse?
No, we do it anyway.
Yeah, that's
Besides the
that's fucking true.
See, but you didn't set it up by not cursing for 10 years
He set that the whole
and,
time.
and then bring it in. Yeah. Yeah.
I did not. What are you talking
That
about?
was a segue to curse. He's like, yeah, let me get this in since we're talking about it.
Yeah, might as well. It's fun.
So when you were young, did you think you would be getting into radio as a kid or
No, I thought I was
or
going to be
in
a
high
rock
school?
star.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be maybe a David Lee Roth, or
Right.
maybe I would be like a Paul Stanley or a Gene Simmons.
You did not lie an ass.
Oh, that's absolutely what I thought. But then as I started getting a little bit older and older and older, I was like, well, I guess the first thing I need to do is I should probably learn how to play an instrument. And so I bought a guitar when I was like 16. No, my parents bought me a guitar when I was 16. And so, I got the guitar and I'm like, all right, this is pretty neat. And the week or two after I got the guitar, I went to see David Lee Roth on this. It must have been Eat 'em and Smile, but Eat 'em and Smile. I was just a little tiny kid.
What Valiant?
It was Cinderella and David Lee Roth with Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai.
Oh, so that's when he was by himself.
That was his first solo tour. And I saw Steve Vai. And I watched Steve Vai play and I said, holy smokes, because that guy made guitar playing look like it was like a physical act. He was incredible.
Yeah.
And just watching this guy play, and I'm like, this is what I got to do. I got to get home and I got to get back to my guitar and I got to learn how to play that thing. And then over the course of, I don't know, the next year of taking lessons and all of that, I could not play anything remotely close or look half as cool as Steve Vai did. I couldn't look a tenth as cool as Steve Vai did. So then I just like, this isn't for me. And I was like, well, what else can I do? I'm like, well, I don't want to play bass because I'm not fat enough to play bass because it's always the big guy in the back that plays bass.
Yeah, you don't move around.
And yeah, it just, hey, stand there. And then when we take a group photo, we're going to need to take 5 steps back. And I couldn't be the singer either, right? Because I don't know how to sing.
Right,
and so then, I'm like 17. I'm like, shit, I can't be a rock star. I don't have any rock star talent at all. And I don't know how I got involved in radio though. Now that I think about it, I really don't know. I think
School for it?
I did go to school for it. I do know how I got into it because I decided, all right, if I can't be the rock star, then I want to be the guy that works with the rock stars. So I said, what I got to do is I got to go work for a record label. I want to be like an A&R guy. I want to be that guy like who's the guy that the Tom last name starts with a Z, discovered Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses.
Oh, I know.
He was a little kid when he did it, and
I know
he
what you're talking about.
he signed all these incredible bands. I said, that's the guy I want to be. Because I always loved the new bands. Anything that was new that came out, I loved them.
Yeah.
So I said, if I could get to a record company, then I could do it. Well, I lived in Peoria, Illinois. Believe me, Universal's not kicking down anybody's door in Peoria, Illinois. Atlantic Records and Epic they don't have an office there. So I said, all right, what I'll do is I'll get into radio and then I'll work my way up from there, which come to find out, a lot of people did that. I thought I was just I thought I was brilliant. I'm like, this is how I'm going to sneak in through the back door and I'm going to become that A&R guy. It turns out tons of people do that. And then I got into radio and I thought I won't be here for very long. I'll play records. I'll do whatever it is you're supposed to do. And then I'll go, because back then record reps would come to the radio station and, they would try to get you to play their songs and they would take you out to lunch. They'd take you to strip clubs. They would give you drugs and whatever just to get you to play their records.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a great system. It was a fantastic system when you were there. And then all that got squished out, obviously, because of the internet.
Yeah.
And then all those record guys that I knew, they all got blown out in the course of me, like being in radio for 2 years. You went from going out to lunch 3 times a week, going out on weekends. They would send limos down from Chicago to take us, to Peoria, to take us back to Chicago to see shows. The money back then was unbelievable. Like there was no such thing as a budget. They would do whatever it was, whatever you needed. If you needed something, if you're like, hey, I want to go to this show, they're like, I got your tickets.
Got it, right.
Got your tickets. Got this. Do you need?
Nice.
Yeah, they're like, do you need a ride? We're like, I don't know. What do you mean? Do we need a ride? They said we can send a car down to get you. You're going to send a car 2.5 hours down and then back up. They're like, yeah, we got you, man. Don't worry about it. We got you covered.
Very
Yeah, so it's
nice.
great. Yeah, and then 2 years after I get into radio, all that gets squished out. So then I'm stuck in radio. going, I wonder what I'm supposed to do now.
So, who gave you the first opportunity to be on the radio?
The first opportunity I did an internship when I was in college. I went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois, which was one of the biggest radio schools. It's funny because I hear people that I went to school with, like on the Dan Patrick Show, and there's people that I went to school with that went on to do.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, no shit. One of the main guys on Dan Patrick. He and I went to school at the same time. I don't remember him,
Yeah.
even though it was a close-knit community. There were, I don't know, 50 or 75 of us. I know that obviously we had classes together and stuff, but like all these different people went on to all these other big heights because it was a big a radio school. And then I did an internship at a radio station the summer before my senior year. And then at the end of my internship, one of the morning guys, he said, you know what you need to do? You need to drop out of school and come be on this show. Come be a part of the show. I said, man, I have one semester to go. Actually, I had one semester with one class to go. I said, if I drop out, my parents will murder me.
one semester, one. Yeah.
And by the way, that one class I had for one semester, I got a C in. I had one class, and when I was done, and I threw my report card on the table, my dad looks at it and he goes, "You only had one class this semester?" I said, "Yeah, that's all I needed to graduate." And then he stopped for a second. He goes, "And you got a C. You had one class, and you got a C in it."
Yeah, you're average.
I was like, it was my last semester. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to do fun stuff. And he's like, a C. You got a C. So anyway, yeah. So then I graduated, and like when I got back home, the station was going through some different stuff. And the overnight guy at that station went across town to the other rock station. And then he called me one day and he said, "Hey, do you still want to do radio?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "All right, I'm at another station right now." He said, "They're looking for weekend guys." He said, "Can you come in and do it?" I'm like, "All right." It wasn't cool because it wasn't like the rock station.
Right.
It was like the shitty little one. It was run by like a family. They were
They only played one rock song, the rest Christian
it
songs.
was so terrible. It's so awful. And so I think like my second day on the air there was Christmas morning, which will show you the pecking order of how radio works. And how it worked back in the day was you had to do weekend overnights, and then you eventually graduated to overnights, and then you went to weeknights, and there was a small, and that's part of the reason why radio is in the state that it's in right now, is because they don't have that farm system that they used to. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's no place to learn how to swim in radio anymore, because there is no overnight jobs. There's no night jobs. There's barely midday jobs. Like our station has a real life midday person. Totally rare. But our boss is adamant about that. He's like, I want as many live bodies in this radio station as we can have, because you need that interaction and you need that community with your audience.
What's her name?
Morgan.
Yeah.
And we had another live girl, before her. It's rare. And we have a live afternoon guy, and
I don't care.
he's afternoon guys are weird, man. They're all weird.
No, after the hot chicks, hell no.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, so that's, radio's cannibalized itself. When all the big conglomerates started buying up radio stations from the mom and pop people, the first thing they did, and again, maybe this is corporate America, I don't know. First thing they did was cheapen the product by getting rid of the air talent. They didn't get rid of salespeople. They didn't get rid of middle management people. They got rid of the air talent, the one connection that you have with your audience, your product. They then decided to get rid of it. It's like buying Coca-Cola and then saying, what should we do? Well, let's get rid of the sugar. Let's get rid of the caffeine. That's what radio did.
Yeah.
And that's why radio's in such a shitty spot right now. And they're, constantly trying to play catch up. And they don't have to, because radio, in its defense, they've told radio a million times, you're going to die. Television came along. They said radio's dead.
Yeah.
Radio didn't die. The iPod came along. Radio's dead. You're gone. It's for some reason you can't kill radio, but also radio is insisting on killing itself. I don't get it. I love the business, but it is weird. Maybe that's all of corporate America, though. I don't know. I've never worked.
Could be.
Yeah, I've never worked anything else. So
That actually, how you sing it, it's spot on. That's awesome.
killing itself from inside. It's like self-sabotage almost.
Yeah. They're not slitting their throat. They just keep stabbing themselves in the throat, and eventually they're hoping that they're just going to kill off the entire. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't think so. I mean, you still need radio from time to time.
You would think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very personal, it's a very intimate medium, and that's what attracts people to it. And again, this is part of the problem of letting go of old radio and figuring out a new formula for radio. Is the fact that radio, when we were growing up, they broke music.
Yeah.
You broke bands. Every band you heard of when you were growing up, you heard on the radio first, or you saw on MTV, right?
Exactly.
It's that intimate connection that you have of turning people on to something new. There's nothing cooler and there's nothing more exciting than discovering a new band. Joe knows that. You love music as much as I do.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear a new band and you're like, am I the only one? Like, you remember the first time you heard Nirvana.
Exactly.
I remember the first time I heard Van Halen. I remember the first time I heard Motley Crue. Like, all those, I really remember the first time I heard Pearl Jam, the first time I heard Sublime.
Yeah.
All my favorite bands, I know where I was and I know who was in the room at the time because of that connection. I still have a connection with a kid that was in the room the first time I heard Van Halen, and he and I still talk about it to this day. Yeah.
We were just talking about that last podcast about just hearing that song, that one song that you remember for the rest of your life.
So we could ask him about that question.
What?
That one song.
Oh, the one song that stuck with you for the first time you heard it, and it stuck with you for the rest of your life. What song is that?
There's two of them. One is Unchained from Van Halen. And I can tell you exactly where I was. I was with a kid named TJ Van Antwerp. And I haven't seen TJ for 30 years.
What was his last name?
Van Antwerp.
Poor kid.
And he was the youngest kid in the family. So he had all older brothers.
Oh,
And he had an older brother named Gino. And Gino had a huge record collection.
Yeah.
And it was the 4th of July. I don't remember what year it was. Would have been obviously early 80s. We were little kids. And TJ and I would pal around a lot because my uncle and this kid's brothers, they all lived in the same house. They had like this big animal house. And on the 4th of July, they'd have this big pig roast. And there were fireworks across the street with the park district. And he says, hey, my brother has a great record. You got to check this out. So we ran inside and he puts on side 2 of Fair Warning from Van Halen. And the minute that I heard Unchained from Van Halen, the whole game changed for me. And I said, this needs to be a part of my life. And it has. That's when I was like, I don't know if I was into science or if I was into math. I know I was into Kiss. Kiss was a big deal to me.
kids.
But when I heard Van Halen, I was like, son of a bitch. These aren't comic book heroes. These aren't spacemen. These aren't demons. These are like real dudes. And you could tell that it was a lifestyle music. You could just tell that they were a lifestyle just from the opening chords of Unchained. That guitar, that opening guitar, you're like, that's the world I want to live in right there.
And you played side 2.
And it was side 2. Yeah, he didn't put on side 1 with Mean Street. He's like side 2. Yeah, it's like fucking up that scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
It comes down to making out. And then the other song is, and I knew it immediately when I heard it, just immediately, was Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana.
Yeah.
Really?
I was in a bar. Yeah, I was in a bar in Champaign. I'm sure there's a bunch in between, but the first two that come to mind, I was in a bar in Champaign, Illinois, because my sister went to school at U of I, and her boyfriend and I would go down to Champaign on the weekends because you had to be 16 or 17 to get into the bars, to get into the college bars. And you would walk in and they would take a marker and they would put a mark on the back of your hand if you were under 21. And so then you would spit on it and then wipe it off.
Yeah.
It was a system that you weren't beating the system. I mean, they knew, and they're like, we'll happily take these kids, $1.50 for a natty light. They didn't care how old you were. So we're there and it's like, it wasn't busy yet, but it was starting to get that way, but we wanted to get a table. So we went early. So the DJ was, doing his thing, whatever, playing, whatever the hell else was going on at the time. I don't know, White Lion or whatever. I don't remember. And then he played Smells Like Teen Spirit. And immediately just grabbed me. And I went over to the DJ booth and I'm not a, heckle, bother the DJ guy. I was like, hey, excuse me. I'm this little tiny kid, this tiny 17-year-old kid who's got hair that covers his face and is halfway down to his butt. And I'm like, excuse me. Oh man, I had a ton of hair. That's why God took it away. He's like, I saw how you treated that shit. Now it's gone. I look at those pictures. I'm like, geez, man, it's probably for the best. I'm glad he
Yeah.
took it from me. But I went up to the DJ booth and I'm like, what was that song you just played? And he goes, that song's huge. He goes, that song is going to be huge. He said, I love it. I listen to it all day, every day. He said, it's a band called Nirvana. And he said, I don't think the record was out. I don't remember. And I said, I don't want to be a dick. Could you play it again? And he goes, absolutely. So he stopped the song he was playing and he played it again. And
Seriously?
I'm
It's
like,
not the song?
yeah, he stopped whatever the hell song.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
But
was.
it doesn't matter, but
I
most
was-
DJs don't do that.
I was mesmerized. I could not believe it. I'm like, this is, I mean, it was a breath of fresh air because at the time, I mean, music was in a bad place. You know, you had all the, those C and D level hair bands and, there really wasn't anything exciting happening.
Oh,
And then, but as soon as you heard it, you immediately just, I mean, your eyes popped out of your
You
head and your
definitely did.
ears perked up. And, they talk about that transition about how, when Nirvana came along, if you're watching VH1 or whatever, they're like, the world stopped on that. As soon as Nirvana came out, the world stopped. But that's not true. All of that stuff meshed together for like a year. Like, you would play, I can remember that summer. It was, Nevermind and Slave to the Grind from Skid Row. You did it.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah. Facelift had just come out. I mean, all of that stuff, I saw Soundgarden open for Skid Row.
Yeah.
I saw Pantera open for, it might have been Skid Row too, because I was a big Skid Row kid too. But I mean, all that music, they always talk about how one genre ended one day and then we picked up grunge the next day. That wasn't it at all. I mean, there was a year where everything kind of mixed together and it was fun. I mean, you didn't really define them as genres, really. I mean, it's just all, hard rock at the time. It wasn't until, you look in the rearview mirror and you're like, oh, okay. The music is similar. It's all how it's marketed.
Yeah. So actually, I just thought of this question. So my question is to you, actually, is who'd you look up to when you were gonna be a DJ? Who, I mean, like I had my people in like shit, what is it called? Trying to find that buzz. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, no, it's just the echo.
It's actually mine. Like my person that when I wanted to be a DJ was WKRP. Not
Johnny Fever was the guy.
No, I didn't like Johnny Fever. I like the night guy. I like Dr. Love or JJ Love or whatever his name was. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to be.
When the person I looked up to the most, and it's funny because he and I were not friends at all. But when I was a kid, the afternoon guy on the rock station, the one that I eventually ended up interning for,
The afternoon guy?
yeah, he was an afternoon guy, but he looked like Richie Sambora, and he would acknowledge that hair bands were a thing. The rock station where I grew up, it was either the classic rock. God, I think it was, but I mean, it was everything like Steely Dan, but you knew that the hair bands were a thing. Oh, it was like classic rock, and then they jumped over all the hair band stuff, and it was grunge. But he would acknowledge that hair bands were a thing. He would talk about them. He wouldn't play them because you couldn't for some reason. And so I interned for that radio. So he was the guy that everybody looked up to. I mean, he was like the local rock star.
John Jay.
Oh no! This is back when I'm in Peoria.
Oh, okay.
And so he was like the local rock star, and it's funny because he would wear these cowboy boots, and one of them had a spur on the back of it. I don't know, man, just the goofy shit. And so I go to work at the station, and at first I'm like in awe of this guy. I'm like, this is the guy I grew up listening to, and he was maybe 10 years older than me. And then I realized that we don't have personalities that mix, so he and I didn't get along, which was a really wise move on my part for my career. Don't get along with the guy that runs the radio station. So over the course of the summer, I worked there, and then I went to the other radio station, and then he had gone. So he went to Rockford, Illinois, and then he was coming back to Peoria, and he called me and he said, "Hey," and I was freaked out. I'm like, "Why is this guy?" Because I mean, we did not get along like at all. We clearly did not like each other. Everyone knew it. And you know, because I was like the, you know, the you know, rising upstart radio guy, and he was the guy that was, you know, that was there to be dethroned.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, I'm coming back down and I'm taking over the radio station. I want you to come work for me." And I was nervous as shit. I'm like, "What? Why? I feel like this is the setup." And
Serious?
yeah, so I agreed to do it, and we worked together, and we still did not get along at all. Even though he was the boss, the first thing that he did, the very first thing that he did, and everybody that worked for him had worked for him before he left town, and he came back, and you know, it was a big homecoming. You know, all his little cronies were like, "Yay, he's back!" The first thing he did when I came to work for him is he said, "All right, your first job is to go," and these are all guys that I competed against in the business, right? I was on the other rock station, they were on this rock station, so they're, you know, what is it, a West Side Story? Who are the two camps that are fighting? The Jets and the
Oh,
whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we're like warring factions. The first thing he said, first thing I need to do is take the staff and air check them, which means you sit down and you listen to their show and then you offer them advice or you critique them.
Okay.
These fucking guys hated me from
Oh,
the time I walked into that door. They hated me before I walked into that door. So then the first thing he sets me up to do is now you're going to listen to their show and you're going to tell them what's wrong with what they do. And I was like, Jesus. But it was a trial by fire. And he's like, all right, I mean, it didn't go well. I'd never made friends with anybody that was on that radio station ever. But eventually the morning show ended up getting booted. And he said, I want you to do mornings. We got to find you a partner. So we flew all these guys in. We did all the stuff to try to find. But for some reason, we just couldn't find that chemistry or somebody that would do it. And after like 2 months of looking, you know, he goes, all right. I'm just going to be your partner for a while. And I looked across it. I'm like, that was your thing the whole time. That's what you wanted to do the entire time, isn't it? And he goes, I think we could do a good show. And now,
Yeah.
I mean, he's easily one of my closest friends now. Like somebody
Wow.
that literally that he and I, that, you know, I could go to him for anything and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out really well. But yeah, that was the guy and it's funny because, you know, I still sometimes, you know, sit back and go, you know, you just think about, you know, that was your idol or your mentor. I've never really told him that before, that he was, you know, one of the reasons
still
why
to this day.
to this day,
Really?
it feels weird. I don't know.
Telling somebody that you're my idol.
It feels weird.
Does
We're that close and we're that similar now
Yeah.
that to put him on a pedestal like that, I think would probably freak him out a little bit. Even though he's got to know.
So
But
did you like take any of his I don't know, some of the stuff he may have done on the radio and like put it into your kind of style that you do on the radio? No, not at all.
I think the only thing that we do that's similar, this is weird as hell, is in the morning before I start the show, I take a piece of paper and I fold it in half and then I write down my notes as far as where we're going to go over the course of the show, like my little roadmap every day. And I got that from him. But as far as that, not really, you know, because we were at two separate places in our life at the time. He was married with children. I was maybe newly married. I don't remember, but I didn't have kids or anything. And but no, he's, you know, he does radio differently than I do. And that's important in a radio show is you can't have two people that are the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because all they do is end up, you know, answering each other's questions or, you know, or finishing each other's sentences so you want to have that yin and yang as much as you can. So he and I were good at that.
So you said you had people that went to school with you that
Mhm.
went on and did something, sorry, no offense, bigger and better. And
Oh yeah.
all that
Jenny
stuff.
McCarthy. Hey, I went to school with a bunch of people that went on to do great things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had the same kind of, were you kind of, not bitter, but happy for him?
I suppose, yeah. I didn't really know him, you know, well enough to be, you know, I mean, if it's a friend that goes on and does something, man, I love that. I mean, anything that you can do.
So I'm still bitter. I'm still bitter because a gentleman of mine was my, when I was DJing at bars around, he was my sidekick.
Right.
He was the mic guy. He
Right.
was the guy that played all the mic. I was all the music and everything else.
Yeah.
And we're at Heartland, and U93 just opened up, and they needed a morning show.
Right.
So all of a sudden they're there, and they said, "Yeah, you guys are awesome, but I only got a spot for one person." And the mic guy's awesome. Man. I loved his voice, how it was.
Right.
He became Big Perm.
You're kidding me.
No.
What's his name? Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like him. He's a nice guy. First time I ever met Big Perm, we were at this charity thing. He came up. He's like, yo, Big Perm. Oh, my name is Big Perm. And I'm like, hey. And he goes, my name is Sean. My real name is Sean. You call me Big Perm. And I just put my hand on it. I said, I'm going to call you Sean.
It happened to me twice. It happened to me twice though. Big Perm was actually I wasn't mad at him. It was the other guy that was my hard rock ride and die guy.
Right.
Wow, it just got really fun.
No, that's what he's in the ringing.
Yes.
The ringing was going because of that, because there's one microphone that was up.
So it was the funny thing is it was shit, what was his name? I can't think of it now. I'll think of it.
I can't think of the anger drove it out.
Yeah, that thing, I just got louder in my ears. Oh my god. Where'd that come from? So it was actually, I can't think of the name, but he moved on and now he comes back down and plays all the high school proms and everything else. Dude, it killed me because my daughter says, yeah, this DJ came from all the way from California, but he was a DJ here at
You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Did you tell him that you're my daughter? He said, no, I want to go up and talk to him. I said, you should have.
Yeah, I think I don't care what career you're in. I think everybody has that person. Everybody has those people, but
I just think to myself, only if I talk on the mic more.
Yeah.
And I showed my voice. So after that, he left. I went to every single bar, every single place. I could talk to. They said, all right, go right ahead. I said, sweet. This ain't gonna happen to me twice.
Dude, it's so funny that, people are so afraid of, public speaking and getting on a microphone, but once you do it and you get comfortable with it, and most of the time it doesn't take long at all.
It took me a while to get comfortable with it. When we first started this, he was.
Eventually you crave it though.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing. Like when
I was where she was at.
Right.
And then he was doing that. So.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a fluid conversation when I would have a conversation with a guest.
Right.
So there'll be like pauses in between each word and things of that nature. So I got a little better when time went on.
Right.
And once I got it down to a science, I kind of understood what I needed to do. So and it felt better.
I'm just a sidekick.
It's one of those things where once you get comfortable with it, it becomes, I don't know, it's a thing, like talking on a microphone in front of an audience. Most people, 99% of the people, I mean, they're terrified and they don't want to do it. You're like, just do it, relax. And eventually you'll find, because there is a thrill to it. There's a thrill.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if you have to look at one person, but once you get a reaction out of one person, then all of a sudden, it kind of nips at you a little bit. But then when you get a reaction out of a crowd, you're like, okay, this is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. I did that once in front of I was in college, I think it was. I had to do a report in front of 50 people in our class. And I started shaking.
Oh yeah.
My hands started shaking. I couldn't stop.
Oh yeah.
It was just, I was a ball of nerves. I couldn't believe it.
I'm learning something new about
that dude. I could not do it. I couldn't talk. Hands was shaking like just nonstop.
Yeah.
Did you do that when you did comedy?
Yeah, I did that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I did a stand-up routine for
hardest job in the world.
Hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You want to be funny.
Yeah.
The first time you killed it though.
Yeah, first time I killed it, second time I bombed. The worst 5 minutes of my life.
That's what I heard.
Worst 5 minutes of my life.
That's what I hear from every stand-up comedian. A good friend of mine did stand-up comedy for years. And he said, that's how they get you. The first time you get up there, it's all a blur. All you remember is the laughs.
Yeah.
And he said, everybody kills their first time. No one kills their second time.
Learned the hard way. It was the worst thing I felt like.
Did you do it a third time? No.
No, I stopped.
He even had a heckler.
Yeah, it was like, well, say something funny.
He's like, where's my keys? I'm getting the fuck out of here.
No, and then he went back to the bartender.
Yeah, I went back to work.
He said, screw this, I'm a bartender now.
I'll stay where I'm at.
But when you could get a crowd of people to laugh, is that not the best feeling in the world?
Great feeling.
It's unbelievable.
It's a great feeling because you roll off those laughs and you finish the rest of your routine.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best feeling in the world? People will tell you, it's sex, it's whatever. It's not true. Laughing, not getting a laugh, laughing is the best feeling in the world. And then that when you're eliciting that out of someone, that's the second best feeling in the world. It's
Oh, yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but fuck that stand-up comedy stuff, man.
That's
We've hosted a lot of comedy stuff, but and you know, they always say you should get up and do 10 or 15 minutes. No,
that
no.
was it's a long time. man.
it's forever.
15 minutes, that's a long time to put up, make people laugh and set up some laughs and constantly do it over and over.
Oh yeah, it is an absolute art
Yeah.
form that doesn't get the
Yeah.
credit for being the art form that it is. I am in awe of every stand-up comedian.
Well, we get that. We do first Thursday of every month at Sandbar, do live comedy, and they come in, and some of the guys like at the beginning don't get a laugh from anybody.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a hard, tough crowd.
Yeah.
They're tough, man. And I'll say something funny.
The
you
only
know.
thing harder than being that comic is being in the audience when a comic is bombing.
Even if they're not that funny, I still give them a deep chuckle
You have to.
to keep them going.
Yeah.
Can I hear that deep chuckle?
No, not yet. You gotta really make it.
I want to hear the
It
deep
comes
chuckle.
from the gut, man.
You already sound like the Allstate guy, so I want to hear the deep chuckle.
It comes deep from the
What?
gut, man. Like,
What,
really laugh.
what a black Santa Claus?
No, I guess you could say that. Yeah, yeah. A nice chuckle, man. I give it, just to show that I appreciate that.
Sure,
So I know how it is.
because you've been on the other
yeah.
side.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, good for
Oh,
you,
yeah, he's
man.
been on this side once,
Twice.
twice.
But still, I just know how it felt.
Because you'll never
A
forget it.
bomb.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
Especially when you think you're hitting on your best one and no one
clap,
reacts.
I clapped for him one the second time. I clapped for him and said, "Yeah, good, James, woo!" And I said,
That
"Now
makes
give me
it
a-
worse.
Now give me a drink."
Yeah. I'm like, see, that's a pity. That's a pity right there.
Then I said, "Give me a drink."
Thanks, Joe.
I'm glad my mom is
That's my
here.
friend back there.
She- She just shaved her first goatee today. I'm glad my mom's here. Thank God. That's terrible, man. Yeah, but anytime I see any stand-up comic, man, I mean, I'm in awe of them all the time. I mean, it takes balls to get up there
Oh,
and
it
do
does.
something like that.
It does.
The reason people ask you is because you're on a radio show for 4 hours now. Then it's always stand-up kind of comedian type stuff. So
Yeah.
is that why people ask you?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I
That's
don't.
got to be though, because your shows are fun.
I can't do it. There's, radio's different because, one, you're in a room, there's no audience.
Yeah.
So you get used to the no reaction, because there's no audience there.
Right.
And you also have people in the room to bounce stuff off of. So, I mean, you do get a reaction because you can tell when something's working and when something's not by
Exactly.
everybody else's reaction. But getting up there by yourself and doing that, oh my God. I don't even think I could do radio by myself at this point in time in my
Really?
career anymore. It's been so long that I've, that
Oh, you've been with somebody for a while though.
yeah. For, I've been doing this for 25 years, probably.
You've only been doing it for 25.
Probably.
How old are you?
I don't really know.
How old are you?
53.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You don't look it. Shit.
No,
And my-
no, I know it
Do
looks
I look the
60.
old-
I look
Do
old
I
as
look
shit.
like the oldest one in the room?
Yeah, you kind of do, Joe.
I didn't want your approval.
Well, that's the question. Give you, I understand. You're my friend. I have to do that.
Why didn't I honest answer out of you?
You do, man.
Shit. He looks younger than I am.
I'm doing the math right now. I may have been doing this for 30 years now.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's even probably got more hair than me.
Yeah. Who, me?
Yes.
Oh God, no.
Oh God. Yes.
No, not even close. Take off your hat.
No.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Looks like a mad
You answered the
scientist.
That's one of the most freeing days of my life. When people are all the time. They're like, you should shave your head. I'm like, why?
I hear the same thing.
I don't want. I'm like, who gives a shit? I don't care. Half the time I'm wearing pajamas. I wear Hey Dudes. I got 6 pairs of Hey Dudes. I mow the lawn in all 6 pairs. I just wear shitty concert shirts, and I don't care. Man, I'm at that age where I'm like, none of this matters to me anymore.
I spike my hair up on purpose just because I like it, and so I spike it like a mad scientist. And
Yeah.
I have people at work come up to me. I love your hair today. It looks like a mad scientist. Kids come up to you. Oh, can you poke a balloon? I'm like, I probably could if you want me to try.
I'm not a mad scientist. I'm just an intolerant scientist. I don't want to hear your shit today.
Don't piss me off. I might go postal. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I feel the same way you do. Hair's hair.
No.
It's going here and it's gonna go warm. And it's going on my chest. It just wants to cover.
Oh no, I don't have that. I just
You
have
don't
like
have
this.
hair?
I have like this little patch right here in the middle, and it sucks.
here.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
nope, sorry.
it's like shockingly gray now all of a sudden, and it keeps getting longer. And I don't know why. I thought at some point it's like maybe like arm hair or eyebrow hair or whatever, but it's becoming just like a little like a little patch.
that shit grows too though.
What's that?
Your eyebrows and everything.
I have
else.
I have one eyebrow hair that grows. I call it my rogue eyebrow hair, and it comes out and it gets real long. Yeah, and it's like
starts to curl.
yeah, I don't know what its deal is, and it drives my wife insane, and that's the reason why I'm like, when I go to the barber, I don't do it anymore. I just cut my hair at home, because I don't care.
Oh, I didn't come here.
I'm at that age too.
Oh, it's great.
I'm up too, so I
Yeah,
I don't-
like
I don't care.
yeah, and then every time I do it, I get a
T-shirt,
little bit
short.
shorter, a little bit shorter, But I get this rogue eyebrow hair all the time. It drives my wife crazy. And I used to go into the barber, and he's like, "Yo, I got to get that." I'm like, "No, leave it alone. Do not
He said,
do
"Leave
not
it
cut
do not
that."
touch that.
And he doesn't understand because I don't know. He and I are like the same age, but he's like in really good shape, and he's a really good looking dude. He's still out there getting girls.
Are you going to the same man?
Yes, and I've been with my wife now for it'll be 25 years in November.
Are you talking about Dan?
Yeah.
Dan Sandman.
Yeah, and he's out there still getting sex, and he's like, "Yo, you want to look your best?" And I'm like, "This is my best, man. This is it. This is as good as it gets for me."
Dude, we just partied with him last Sunday.
we hang out with him last Sunday.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah,
He's so nice.
yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's like, "Why don't you want to look your best?" I'm like, "Ooh." I said, I got 3 daughters. No matter what I look like, they're gonna give me shit about it. It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
yeah.
They're gonna goof on me no matter what.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then I got a wife, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't even know I still live in the house.
She does. We talk about you when she comes to dates.
She only
comes to
knows
dates.
she only knows I'm there because she pushes the dogs over on me every night. She's like, go sleep over there.
Yeah, she knows. She said she's gonna watch it. She was excited to get you out of the house though.
Oh, she always is. Yeah. I don't know if that's true. I don't think she even knows I left.
PJs and
Yeah.
we're in Hey Dude.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
But you got Hey Dudes on too?
No, I have like 3 pairs.
Oh, you got good looking tennis shoes on. See, I don't even do that anymore.
I don't do that anymore either.
Yeah.
I wear flip flops.
Yeah, I got a pair of those. What are those shoes that On Clouds?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's like, you got
Oh,
the
yeah,
On
everybody-
Clouds.
yeah,
You
everybody
got to
has
get them. They're the most comfortable shoes you've ever worn. And I got them and I put them on. They're not the most comfortable shoe I've ever worn. These Hey Dudes, these shitty Hey Dudes, these are the best shoes I've ever worn.
Yeah.
They're so
I
comfortable.
agree.
You don't want to ask me.
Flip-flops.
No, I found these flip flops on the beach.
Did you really? Did you really?
Were they right next to the boardwalk? Like somebody kicked them off so they could walk?
Nah, I
You know those are community, right?
Damn it! No,
How was these fit?
I should actually take those.
Take a penny, leave a penny.
You did somebody flip flops.
No, I posted them. I waited.
You left an eye or you didn't?
No, this is what happened. Actually, they're coaches.
Really? You stole somebody's flip flops.
No, I did not steal. I posted them on Facebook Marketplace on Facebook. Said, hey, I found these on Second Street Beach. If anyone wants them, they can have them. I waited about a week and a half.
Minutes.
Nobody offered it.
I think you posted and then deleted it.
No, I
Found.
found. Then they barely fit me though, but they are somewhat comfortable. I'll admit. But they're coaches. They're $125 a pop.
Why would?
No, I'd have
they
sold them
barely-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then left them on the beach. I waited. I saw them at 10 o'clock in the morning. I came back at 11 o'clock at night. They're still there. Fuck it.
Okay. Like,
Free game.
If that person is still here, that person has sun poisoning. They don't need those anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It's free game.
That's one of the things I love about living in a beach community is that weird. You can just drop your shit wherever you want and
Yeah.
nobody messes with it. When people come and stay with us all the time, because we got friends that live all over the country, and I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, you got to come to this place because it's a wonderful place. Everybody that comes here falls in love with this
Oh, yeah,
place.
definitely.
And like when you go to the beach, like on weekend mornings, I love getting up and I love just going and walking on the beach, right? Like I'll go to Jinclock Park and I'll walk all the way down to the what the hell's the thing, the lighthouse or the pier.
Yeah.
So I'll walk all the way down there. You Tuscarnia.
That goes all the way through Tuscarnia. There's no.
No, yeah, you can walk. Geez, you could walk from Rocky Gap all the way down.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know. Actually, I didn't know that. I thought
Yeah.
since the beaches were so separated, I thought there was like a gap in between.
No, I'm
So
sure if you sat
houses-
down in front of some of those houses, people would get pissed. But I think
Yeah.
as long as you keep moving,
Well,
those people don't
yeah.
get mad. But if you kick your stuff off, when you get down to the end of the boardwalk and you throw your stuff down, everybody goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You just throw your shit down. You can just leave your shoes there. You can leave your shirt there.
Nobody
yeah,
messes with
yeah.
it.
You can leave your wallet there. I don't think anybody's gonna touch it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm not gonna test that theory. I'm not.
Not I.
Oh, I do.
I came back. My
Yeah,
car
I
was
go-
gone.
I'll walk all the way down. I'll walk all the way down to the pier and back and stuff like that from my beach. Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's that. You know, I mean, we deal with some shit for 11 months out of the year,
Oh,
but
yeah,
man,
definitely.
this time of year
It
right
is
now, this
beautiful.
place is unbeatable.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I like it after this month. I like it. I
It's
like it in
in,
August.
August,
I like August. I
right,
only, I
right
only
before everything changes colors and stuff.
shuts down.
Yeah, yeah.
All these people that come into my town and live next door to me, live next door to me. School starts early for them, and all of a sudden their kids go back
Trying
to
to get everybody out
school.
of town.
I'm thinking, hell yeah, my neighborhood's back to normal for 5 more months.
Yeah, like if people ask you, they say, well, how often do you eat a Silver Beach pizza? You're like, I don't know, 8 months out of the year, but that's about it. I said, we don't eat there in the summertime, never. Why? How can you not go there once a week? You're like, because there's a fucking 2-hour window that
Yeah.
you got to wait for 2
Oh,
hours.
for you, it would understand. I do what I do. For you, you have kids, so you can't go upstairs because it's 21 and up. Upstairs.
Oh, I don't want to hurt you, but all my kids are almost 21 now.
Yeah. Shit, really?
Last time you saw my kids, I think they were like 7.
No, I think the oldest like 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's on the soccer field.
Oh no, she graduated from college and everything. She got her
Damn.
first big boy job, and yeah, she's out there.
Damn. You make me feel old. Thanks. I'm 45 now. But yeah, I mean, I just go upstairs. I just walk through the crowd, go up right upstairs, past a waitress, go to the bar, stand there, and I wave at the bartender, and he automatically knows what I want. Just two.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice, but
I don't go in the summertime.
you can't get in there,
Yeah,
which is fine. I
it's
mean,
busy.
let the tourists do their thing. Let them make their money.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a small window in the winter time where people are
Exactly.
like, fucking, I hope we can make it through the winter.
Surprising enough, they're busy all the time anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what.
They're always busy.
You know, it's a chain.
I did not know that.
Somebody told me there's
Yeah.
another one somewhere.
Yeah,
did not know that.
Laporte, no, Elkhart, somewhere around down there. Yeah.
Indiana,
Yeah.
bro.
Is it Portage?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just went down there and saw Lit a couple weeks ago, and somebody said that there was a Silver Beach Pizza down there. I
Really?
said,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, it's the same owner, but it's not. He said it's not a chain-ish because he has partners. He's just partnered into it, and they used his name because
Smart.
he pays for that one because he already had one. So
Yeah.
it is technically a chain.
Yeah. Hey, good for them. You know, I mean, if you
I
can,
didn't know that until.
they earned it, man. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, clearly they did the work.
Really
They,
good job down
yeah,
there.
they got in where they needed to be.
Perfect spot for it too.
I still miss the old Sims.
Hey, there's so many great pizza places around here,
Yeah.
and everyone asks you about Silver Beach Pizza. And I'm sorry, I love the place. Is that my favorite pizza? No,
No,
Mine
no.
either.
no.
Mine
I'll
either.
take a DiMaggio's any day.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
DiMaggio's, and I love the pizzas in Stevensville.
Seriously, the pizzas?
I love that
Is that the
place.
little small one?
It's right across from the high school.
Yeah,
Right across the high school.
Yeah.
Family owned too, though.
I had a Chicago style pizza there from there before. That was good.
They've got, I just get sausage, pepperoni, and ham. Hey, dude, that
You drive
place.
all the way to the pizzas?
Yeah. Well, my daughter went to school across the street.
Oh.
So she would always have soccer or
Get a pizza.
yeah, soccer or
Working
basketball.
pizza night.
Yeah. So then, then you would just call it. I love their pizza. I think
Yeah,
their pizza's
Yeah, you're
phenomenal.
right. I agree
And
with
if somebody hadn't have told me about it, I wouldn't even known the place existed. It's one of those places that you just don't see.
that. So you have to be right there to see it.
I don't know what they have to do. I don't know what sort of a sign they have to get in order to get guys like me to pay attention. But if somebody hadn't told us about it, and my daughter, probably a sophomore in high school at the time,
Yeah.
and she'd been going to Lakeshore schools for about 8 years at that point. And I had no idea the
I'm
place.
sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that place
I'm
was.
sorry she went to Lakeshore. Sorry, she.
Oh no, is this a Lakeshore State Joe thing gonna happen right here in front of me?
Yeah. So
We had daughters that went to both schools, so
What about Nardos?
I
gotta
haven't been
represent- we
there.
gotta
I
represent our
almost went
homeboy.
to see Tommy Stinson there the other night.
Oh, did you?
Tommy Stinson from the
Yes.
Replacements?
It was a decent show.
Was it great?
Yes.
Because we were at a grad party that night, and we went to see Lit and Stone Temple Pilots. I went to see Lit and in Portage, and then the next night, who did we see? The Great Affairs, great band from
Oh, yeah.
Nashville, and the Verve Pipe at the winery in Paw Paw.
they're not, couldn't see why the Verb Pipe. I just can't see it. I just can't see it.
They were good.
Yeah.
I don't
They
know
had
it.
two songs all they have.
See, everybody told me they had 2. I only knew 1. I knew the freshman
Freshman?
song, yeah. But
That's
they
it.
did a great version of The Chain from Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And they did, was it a Supertramp song?
Yeah.
and they murdered both of them, and they were fine. But then we had tickets to go see Tommy Stinson the next night, and we were at a grad party, and somebody's asking me, how's your weekend been? I said, oh, we went to see Lit because they're one of my favorite bands. I said, then we went to see the Great Affairs up in Paw Paw because they're one of my favorite bands. And I said, tonight we're going to go see the bass player from The Replacements, one of my favorite bands. And they said, oh, what time is that? And I said, 7:00. And then it hit me. I said,
Oh, 7:00.
I said, it's 8:30. I said, I missed it. And so I was super bummed. I'm still bummed. But yeah, I mean, how cool is that? I don't know how many people love The Replacements. I mean, I know that, like the diehards, but we're a small group of people.
Nardo's probably going to bring him back because it was such a good show and it was such a good crowd.
Oh, good. I love that Bash and Pop record.
He's in cahoots with all those people from over there, so he was thinking about bringing him back.
Oh man, yeah. Let me know. I just happened to stumble on it out of dumb luck because it popped up in my Facebook feed.
Oh, okay.
And I always pay attention to whatever, because I know he does one of those living room tours. He'll come and play at your house and stuff. And I just happened to see it, and then it said St. Joe, Michigan. I was like, well, that must be a misprint. And I looked at it, it said Nardo's Pizza. I'm like,
took pictures took pictures all down there and everything else.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, dude, it's a blast.
Yeah.
He's actually bringing better bands in and everything else. He wants to be the type that brings in bands that are a B-lister, not just local bands,
right,
but more bands that you don't see in this town at all.
It's a great idea. I mean, I know they may cost a fortune. I don't know what the capacity in that place is.
125.
It's already 125. Probably 180.
125 without the tables.
Without the tables, okay.
Right.
And he takes some of the tables out. He takes the tables out in the front.
Yeah. Still got that stage down there in Czar. So
I mean, it's a great spot. I mean, it's a great venue.
Where we had the 100th.
Okay.
We did our 100th episode down there.
100th episode where he thought of the whole process between the
that's where the whole concept came from down there. We were just after work, we was shooting shit.
We're just shooting the shit, drinking, and thinking, let's do a podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a podcast.
I think that's how all podcasts go. Yeah.
So I started getting everything together, and then we talked a little more about it, and found this place, and started here.
Right.
And just from the beginning, this place doesn't even look like what it was when we first got it.
We'll show you pictures before and after we're done.
But it was a work in progress, definitely. So
you realize how important the soundproofing on the walls was.
Yeah, definitely.
Top of the hour.
Oh yeah, okay. We're at the top of the hour. Good. All right, guys, we're at the top of the hour. Third Eye Truth Theorem podcast. 102 episodes in now, guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons so you can get more content when we put out Monday and Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Today we're doing an early show, 7 p.m. All right, guys.
Because he's got to get up at probably 4 in the morning.
I know.
4 a.m. that alarm goes off.
That comes early, man.
Out the door at 4:15.
All right, guys. I'm James Gill, your host. This is Joe Hill, your co-host. And we have Jason Lee in the house today, guys. Let's get that back to the podcast.
All right. So I have a couple other questions about the older days when you first started.
Sure.
Or in between. So after Illinois and everything else like that, my question is to you actually, is when you decided to leave Illinois and move to St. Joe, Michigan, how did that happen?
That happened. It's a funny story because
we like funny stories.
We had I'm trying to think exactly where I was at the time in my life. My second daughter had just been born. We had one daughter, and then the second daughter had just been born. And right before our second daughter was born, my wife was really pregnant, and we couldn't go. We love Charleston, South Carolina. We go down to Charleston all the time. It's a great city, favorite city in America, and we couldn't go because she was really pregnant, so we couldn't travel. And then someone she worked with said, hey, there's a place in Michigan that has a great beachy vibe, and it's a great spot. It's right up your alley. It's called Union Pier, Michigan.
Oh.
So we came up to Union Pier, Michigan, and we spent like a long weekend. It would have been right around this time of year, would have been July. And so we spent a long weekend. Wonderful. We stayed at the Firefly in Union Pier.
Yep.
Great time. And went home, dinked around a little bit, whatever's going on at the time. And then I get a phone call from a guy that I hadn't seen for about 10 years that I'd worked with in my very first radio job. And he says, hey, I got a radio station in Michigan. and I'd love for you to come be a part of it. I said, I'm not coming to Michigan, man. I'm that, what is that, frozen tundra? I said, I don't want that shit. So what do? Ride around on snowmobiles in July? I'm like, I don't know what Michigan is like, but from what I understand, it's terrible. And he's like, just come up and talk to us. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, are you near Union Pier? And he goes, we're about 12 miles north. I said, all right, I'll come up and talk to you. No intentions whatsoever to take it. Actually, the main reason I decided that I would come up is because I bought a case of wine at St. Julian that was outstanding.
Oh, yes.
And I said, you know what? I'll go pick up another case of wine. I'll put it on their dime, and then I'll come back home and life will be the same.
I do that with a price.
It was great. And then, so I came up and I met the staff at the radio station, and I'm like, these are great people. And this is a great area.
Who came down and got you?
Do what?
Who came down and got you? Or
Rob Rose.
oh, really?
Rob Rose was the guy. And then, so I came up, and Rob he's an unbelievable guy. He's one of the nicest, most sincere radio guys in the business. He's one of those guys that knows everyone, and he's been everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's super talented. He's just a great manager. And then I met with him and Jim Gifford, who's a legend in this town. There's no way you could say no to Jim Gifford ever.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah. And so I had dinner with them and I said, that's really cool. And then they're like, all right, next step is bring your wife up and we'll see if she likes it. So we brought the wife up and she's like, I like it here, but we still weren't really sure. We said, all right, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll put a test. We'll put the house on the market and see what happens. And we put our house on the market. It sold on the first day for over asking. And my wife and I are like, well, that must be a sign. And
first day, huh?
First day, and it sold for over asking.
Wow.
And so we said, all right, well, let's go. So, so then we did it. And, this is home now. We don't, it's home to my kids. I mean, it's always going to be home to us now because, this is where our kids grew up. So, yeah, it's a great place. I mean, it's unbeatable.
So once you got because it was a two-part question, actually. Once you got the job here, how did the people bring you into it? Did they warm with a big giant hug?
They sell you.
Yes. Were you happy when you finally arrived here and people were just like, welcome, Jason, welcome?
It was funny because I think was it maybe April? It was maybe March or April. And I moved up before my family because obviously we had to handle all the home sale and stuff like that. But I just remember everybody kept telling me, it gets better. It gets better. Because March or April, they're like, it gets better. It gets better. I'm like, there's a cloud that doesn't go away here and it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, no, it gets better. It gets better. And then, I mean, obviously it did get better. And then springtime came around. And that very first spring, I remember the very first spring because it was one of those years where Easter was really, really early. But I'd already mowed 3 times and this tree in the backyard had already bloomed. There's already leaves on it. And I was like, there's no such thing as winter here. It should still be winter, but it's not. And I was like, this is easy. I can handle it. The very next year, man, the very next year. And was it your grandparents that lived next door to us?
Yes.
I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. Your grandfather.
Yep.
So the next winter comes along, the first summer, and it's still like this most summers too, where you always feel like you're on vacation. I don't know if it's like that if you're from here, but when you're not from here in the summertime, you go to the beach, you kick around, you don't wear shoes. It still feels like to me, however many years later, it still feels like in the summertime I'm on vacation. Great first summer. Winter comes along. I'm like, that winter was nothing. And I don't know what time, I don't know what month it was or whatever, but the first time that there was lake effect snow, it was insane. I'd never seen so much snow in my life. It was snowing so goddamn hard. And I was going outside with my measuring tape and I'm sticking it into the ground. And I'm like, it snowed a foot in the last 2 hours. I watched a movie, came back outside and it snowed a foot. I'm like, this is inhuman. There's no way that it can sustain itself. You go to bed, you get up in the morning, and then I'm the only guy on the street that has a shovel. Everybody else obviously has lived here forever. They got snow blowers. So I'm out there shoveling. I'm going to die, whatever. There's a 1.5 foot of snow and I'm dying. Your grandfather comes out and he goes, Nobody told you about that lake effect, did they? I said, that wasn't on the brochure. And he goes, we don't tell anybody about it. They just have to live it. And I said, this is some sort of a cruel joke. This is not cool, man.
Actually, that's who I'm named after. So yeah, that was my grandfather that I loved to hear.
Oh, he was such a great dude. I loved your grandma and grandpa. They were so great. They were so sweet. They were so nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that first snow, he's like, lake effect, huh? Well, I don't know what's happening here.
It does suck though.
I'm like, why is it still fucking snowing? He's like, it's gonna snow until March. It's like, God.
God, what do I do?
And the very next Monday, I went back to work. I said, hey, what about this lake effect snow thing? And Rob Rose was like, yeah, we don't tell anybody about that. I'm like, what is this, an inside joke?
It is actually. Suckers.
Yeah, I'm like, is there AIDS in the water too? What's happening? Like, why don't you people tell me the bad stuff?
So after you did all that though, now you can say the joke. Now you can say.
Oh no, I tell everybody
You
about it.
can-
No, I tell everybody. I'm like, hey, man, this place is great, but I'm gonna tell you what, in the wintertime is a different animal. I said, you're gonna see shit you've never seen before.
Oh, you don't sucker them in?
No, man. I can't do that to people, man. I know how bad that hurt. I reevaluated my whole life the first time that happened. I'm like, I made a big mistake.
Don't feel bad.
I'm like, man, I'm locked into this place. I got to figure out a way to get through it.
You bought your snowblower again, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm still on the same snowblower.
Yeah, I know.
I bought a snowblower and I still got the same one. Every year, I'm like, yeah, when it's done, when they go on sale, I'm going to get a new snowblower.
He did. He came in. So when these go on sale, I said, well, about 2 months ago.
Yep.
You gotta buy it early.
But yeah, get it early.
I'm going to do the same thing with a grill too, because I need a new grill. So I'm going to wait until like, I don't know, November. I'll be like, hey, what are those grills? Where'd those grills go? Put those grills back out?
We keep them all year round because yeah, people buy them all year.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that green egg shit, man. I'm not made out of money. I know you keep that green egg stuff out.
Yes, we do.
Those things are expensive.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
The smallest one is only about like this big,
Yes.
actually, and it's $700.
You can barely
Now ask him how much the big one is.
Yeah, probably
$2,000.
Holy yeah. Yeah, about that. I'm glad I bought mine online on Amazon for
Yeah, they don't put them in the
200
back
bucks.
because if you put them in the back, there's a chance you might drop one or
No,
break
we
it.
keep
So they
putting 'em-
leave it out.
We keep those. Those are our demos. Everything else in crates. They come in crates. We have to build them on site because they're so heavy.
oh that's how
It's a big giant kiln. That's all it is.
jeez.
It's a big.
I
giant
guess
kiln.
yeah, they would be super heavy, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's
I
a
didn't
big
think about
giant
that.
$2,000
Yeah, the biggest is $2,000. Yes.
for really?
Yes. That's not the most expensive one we have. The Weber we have there is the Summit is $4,000.
And what does that thing do?
That's 4 burners.
Does
And
it like prepare the steaks for you?
no, it does everything else.
Oh, is that a gas grill?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the ladies.
The
The Haldor oven. Get the hell out of here with that. Yeah.
So
That's for Mrs. Brady.
There you go.
oh yeah, my question.
Sexist
So-
as hell.
So-
Right.
That's not what your wife said.
She doesn't even know we have a grill.
No, you have a charcoal grill, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got a charcoal grill. I got a smoker. Yeah, I got all that shit.
Best way to do it.
Yeah.
But when you moved here, you were by yourself, were you? You had to find somebody, didn't you? Or
Geez, yeah. Who
wasn't it? I mean, you had catfish.
Yeah.
The late great. They had the late great catfish.
Yeah.
And then you had Hunter after that, or it was catfish and Hunter.
No,
at one
it
time.
was there was a guy before.
Were you going to be the morning show when you came here?
Yeah.
So you took over John Jay.
No, I took over for Cluck,
Oh, that's right.
who is
That's
now my
right.
partner.
That's right.
Yeah.
because he moved. He had to go to up to South Haven or
Kalamazoo.
yeah, something like that.
I'm trying to think of who the guy was when I first got here, and I can't. He was really, really funny. He was really funny, but he was also he was one of those guys that was super, super funny. But if you didn't get it, then it was your fault.
Yeah.
You know, there were some things that he would do. If I remember correct, God, I can't remember his name. But I remember that I would talk to him about this because if something didn't go the way that he thought it should go and it fell flat, it was somebody else's. It was always the audience's fault. I'm like, no, if it falls flat, it's on you.
Yeah.
How's the
You know.
audience go flat when there's no audience?
Yeah, I don't know, but if you didn't get a reaction, does a stand-up comedian when a joke dies, you're not, you guys just didn't get that joke. You can't say that.
No,
They
no.
will murder you.
Yeah.
And it's the joke may be too smart, and maybe a lot of times the jokes were too smart and the audience didn't get it. Didn't matter. It's still not on them. That's on you. That's you not knowing your audience. And then it was Hunter, and then it was Catfish.
I thought it was Hunter.
No,
Oh,
Hunter was
Catfish
first, and then it was Catfish, and then it was Cheap Labor,
Yeah.
Joe Daniel,
Yeah.
and then it was some of the most fun I ever had in this business ever. Some of the most fun times was when it was Catfish, Cheap Labor, and I.
Yeah.
The three of us together, man, we had so much goddamn fun. It was
You guys were hilarious.
it was so every day was so funny. Whether that translated on the show, I didn't even care. We just had a great time. The three of us together we just had a way, one, of pushing each other's buttons and always eliciting some sort of a response, no matter what it was. But those were, without it, absolutely, those were the best times. Those are so fun.
I love morning shows. I hate to say it. I love morning shows because they
Yeah.
love to talk. They love to do everything.
Yeah.
They love to do I didn't know, actually, I don't listen to you guys now because I'm inside. I don't drive. I
Right.
don't do anything anymore drive wise. And so I don't listen to the morning shows.
Right.
But I didn't know you guys are 4 hours just talking. I would love to hear that. You guys are awesome. You and Cluck you guys are
We have fun.
You mush together well.
We have that rare chemistry, and again, being in the business forever, I've seen everything there's to see in this business, and morning shows. And I don't know, I would like to give myself credit for this, but I don't think it is. I think it's just luck. Morning shows do not get along by nature. You could give me your favorite morning show, and I will tell you almost beyond a shadow of a doubt, they're not friends. They don't get along. The end of the show, they go their separate ways. Whatever. And it's almost universal for morning shows. But for some reason, like every morning show I've ever been a part of was always a friend first, and then, the show. And I've been very fortunate. Cluck and I are very, very, we're I guess we're close, but we could literally hang out together for a week. And we would still find ways to make each other laugh, even after being together. We could go to prison together, and after 6 months, I guarantee you, we still know how to make each other laugh. And it's been that way with all, every show that I've been a part of. Maybe not so much making each other laugh, but they're, like with Fish and I and Labor, who I'm still friends with to this day.
Really?
Oh, you want to feel like you're a million years old? Labor, Cheap Labor. When our show ended, whatever year that was, his wife was getting ready to have their first daughter. That daughter and my youngest daughter played on the same soccer team this year.
Oh,
So
really?
he and I watched soccer games together.
Oh,
yeah. So it was fun,
Great feeling.
Yeah, so we sat and watched soccer together, and whatever, But the three of us, together, there was just a love and a friendship there that, is, it's unheard of in radio.
To go with going to jail with somebody
Mm-hmm.
with Cluck, pretty much, he's got to protect you. So yeah, you guys gotta be best friends.
Although that guy's soft as shit.
I know, but you're a little bit thinner and he's a little bit meatier, so he's not gonna pick on him as much.
He likes to say that he's quick, but he's not. He's super slow. I think if we went to prison together, I think we would rule the place because we would figure out a way to somehow just become the bosses of the joint, just because of our sense of humor and just But it's just fun, and I've been very, very fortunate because I've seen all these other shows. Like literally, I radio shows don't talk to each other at all. They don't talk at all. Cluck and I sit we sit next to each other for 2 hours after the show every day, which consists of me usually snacking on something and he going, hey, look at this thing on the internet. Look at this thing on the internet. But
So-
we always find things to laugh about.
How do you steal him from another radio show?
He was unemployed. He got fired.
Oh.
Damn. We were both unemployed at the same time. Yeah, we were both unemployed at the same time, and he had gone to the UP to live with his parents. I think he was in Grand Rapids, and then he went to the UP to live with his parents. And then I was down in St. Joe Benton Harbor, and then Tommy Carroll, one of the greatest program directors in the country, bar none. He called and he said, "Hey, we got this opening." Actually, a sales girl that was here in Benton Harbor, St. Joe, went down there, and she said, "Hey, they got an opening. You're the guy. He's going to call you." He called and he said, "Hey, we have this opening. Do you want to come down?" I thought he was talking to Fish and I. So Fish and I went down for the interview. And then, we went out and so we went out and had dinner and a couple of drinks and stuff. And then somewhere in the middle, he said, "Well, who would you work with? If Fish doesn't take the job, who would you work with?" Which the offer was never there. I found out later. I said, "You know what? I'm not really that interested in radio that much anymore. I think I want to do different things. I don't know what I want to do, but I don't think I want to do radio anymore because it jerked me around enough that I don't think I want to do it."
Wow, you almost retired.
Yeah. And so I said, "You know what? I would do radio with Fish. Obviously, I would do radio with Cheap Labor." And I said, "That's probably about it." And he said, he goes, "What about Warren Cluck?" And I said, "I've only met the guy once. I met him at a Billy Squier concert. And
about the Billy Squire that we did
at the Venetian Festival. That's the first time.
Venetian, that jackass Billy Squire.
Yep.
Oh,
That's the first time he and I ever met.
No.
Oh, come on. Billy
think you
Squire's
didn't
one of the
like
baddest dudes on the
He
planet.
was, but that man, we told him, do not destroy the RV we give you. That man grabbed the mattress, threw it on top of the RV,
Oh, so he could sunbathe.
and meditated
Oh,
the
boy.
whole through the sunset, all the way through the sunset. And then he says, "I'm sorry, I destroyed," in this British accent, because he was kind of British. He said, "I'm sorry, I destroyed your RV like you told me not to." And the mattress is on top of it's on top of the RV. And I climbed up there. I might have dented it. I said, "No, you didn't dent it, you dude. You only weigh like $150."
Oh, yeah.
But
I saw him up there sunbathing that day in like some Speedos. And I'm a huge Billy Squier fan. I saw him probably half a dozen times when I was a kid.
Dude,
Boy,
he did an awesome show, but man,
it was great.
I
But
told him not to do it.
to see him in his Speedos, though, that's a lot.
It was a lot.
I mean, it wasn't a lot. I mean, it was like average, but
I still think I saw a lot of shows down there for Venetian, and it was an awesome time doing it.
yeah.
And everything in my life doing that with Venetian. But my thing was, Billy was one of the ones I said, "Oh my God, really? One thing I told you not to do, you
Right.
still did it."
You're an old man. You should know how to follow the rules.
No, he's a
You
rocker.
probably shouldn't
Great.
have told him not to do it.
Yeah. If you wouldn't
They
have
had
said
a
anything,
list.
you'd have been
No,
fine.
they had a list of all the stuff that not to do inside this trailer. And the one thing inside the
The
trailer,
mattress on top. Don't do
no,
that.
do not destroy the trailer.
So you could put the mattress on top.
Well, I didn't think he was gonna remove the whole mattress and put it on top.
You didn't
How
say
in
you
rock and roll is that he used it to meditate?
Yeah, he did. Meditate and sunbathe. Yes, he did sunbathe, but he didn't.
No,
meditate.
Squire, there should have been some sort of gangbang on there or something. I don't know what is this meditation crap?
That was the Jim Blossoms. That was a Jim Blossoms. That's a whole
What?
different. That was a whole different story. That was the Jim Blossoms. And that was my first year on running the stage.
I don't even want to know.
I do.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
please tell us now, Joe. Inquiring minds want to know.
So, Jim Blossoms just rocking it out, and all of a sudden,
No one's ever said that before.
No,
That's not
no,
that was a lie.
he was rocking it out. The drummer was looking at me, hey, and he's waving at me. I said, "What?" He says, "See that blonde right there?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I want her backstage." I went, "All right, whatever." Okay, I went up to her and said, "Hey, the drummer wants you backstage." She said, "Okay, can my boyfriend come?" I went, "Let me ask." This is my first time. I'm like 18. And I went, "All right, let me ask. Can the boyfriend come?" He said, "I don't care. I'm going to be doing something. You're going to keep him occupied." I went, what?
You're the wingman.
So I was actually. So I'm at his trailer, and the boyfriend's walking by me. He said, "Where's my girlfriend at?" I don't know. And the trailer's rocking. And then Mike Minestra sees the trailer rocking, and he's asking me, "Why is the trailer rocking?" I went, "I don't know." He said, "Why are you watching the door?" The drummer told me to watch the door. He said, "He told me to make the band happy." The band's getting happy. So the band is now getting laid. And
The whole band?
no, just the drummer.
Okay.
The other ones are just partying with everybody else. The drummer's getting laid. And all of a sudden, Mike goes in. I said, "Where are you going, Mike?" He said, "I'm going in. I got to stop this. This is a family kind of show." I said, "What are you doing?" And all of a sudden, he walks in. He said, "Joe, you can come in here for a minute." I said, "Oh, yeah, sweet." She was kind of hot. So I went in. He said, then all of a sudden, they're in the back of where the bed's at. His father was there. The father is in the trailer with his son.
While he's in the bedroom.
In the bedroom, and then the dad says he's having a good time.
Taught him well.
Weird.
He says he's having a good time. I went,
That's
What?
my boy.
and Mike saying, looked at the dad. Said, "Do we need to stop this? This is a family show. We need to stop this. But I know it's after midnight, but we need to stop this. He needs to pack his shit up." I went, "Oh, thank God," because I didn't know how to handle it. But yeah, no. So then after the next year, my nickname was PP,
What was that stand for?
Pavilion Pimp.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Tom Street comes up to me and says, "What up, PP?" I went, "Damn it, Tom." And he was our security for the whole entire campground because he's an ex-retired Benton Harbor cop. And I went, "Damn it, this got all the way to the whole entire place." He says, "Yeah, it did. You got the band Blade." I went, "Damn it."
It's amazing the stuff that you see.
It was my first year on the board.
You're like, this is why I do this now.
Oh,
This
wait.
is why this is my thing now.
I went, "Damn,
I knew I
this
had
is
it.
rock star."
I knew this is my niche.
If I don't get to be the guy in the trailer, at least I could be the guy at the door.
Yeah.
I just want to be in there
Guard
The bad
somewhere.
thing is I was security. I went, "Damn, I'm the security and I don't get paid."
I guard doors and bring in whores.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah,
Good job, Joe.
I mean, that was my first year. So the Gin Blossoms was in '98.
Sounds like you had fun.
I did have fun. I saw a lot of bands.
Yeah, there were so many great shows.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that was such a great event.
Yeah.
In typical St. Joseph fashion, though, obviously you knew it wasn't going to last forever.
We lasted actually. We had the 25th. We outlasted 28 years.
Wow.
We lasted 20 years.
Jeez. Yeah, I think I
Really?
didn't get down here. I don't know what year I got down here, but I think the first year I was like, I actually don't know who it was. I have no idea.
When did you move here? I can tell you.
I don't know the year of that either. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been maybe 05, maybe 04, 05.
So that's when we're doing Y Country with our stuff. So that would be 04, 05. That's when Y Country. That's when I was breaking down. So you saw Styx and the Beach Boys.
Okay. It was the Beach Boys, really?
You didn't see the Beach Boys here?
I don't know.
It was. So was there ever a beach stage?
Styx, I remember Styx because they did a medley. They
Yeah.
did a medley of Beatles songs, and I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, your Styx. You've got 45. You've got 45 singles.
They can't play anything that D Young wrote. When
Jeez.
Tommy Shaw sings, they can't play anything that D Young wrote because D Young bought all his stuff.
Oh, man.
That's
Wow.
why the Styx can't play anything that you hear prior. to
Oh,
Tommy
they
Shaw.
can still do 2 hours worth of Tommy Shaw songs.
Yeah.
You know, you can pick through the damn Yankees. There's lots of stuff you can pick
Yes,
through.
that's why they play a lot of.
Wow.
That's why when you hear Mr. Roboto, they only play like a minute or a minute and a half because that's by law. They can only play a minute.
Use his voice.
They only can play like a minute and a half of a song of that song
Yeah.
before it's
So he owns the
before-
masters still.
Yeah.
Most of the songs.
yeah. When D Young he wrote all his songs and he kept them all.
Which is good work if you
That's
can get
smart,
it.
yeah.
Most of those guys get desperate and they sell those songs and they
Yeah.
have no right to them whatsoever.
he-
So good for him.
He goes out and he does his own.
Yeah, good for him, man. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I just remember they played a Beatles medley, and I thought, Jesus Christ, you have so many number
Yeah.
one hits. You got so many songs. What are you doing?
Yeah, after Tommy Shaw, it was after pre-Shaw. I always call it.
Okay, so that may have been my first year. And then it was like Kansas and Bowling for Soup and Tesla and
Yeah,
Cinderella.
Tesla was awesome.
Yeah. Was that the last year?
No, I think Cinderella.
Okay.
think Cinderella was my last.
Yeah, no, it was a great festival. It was a well-run festival, but it was
Yeah.
a great time. Yeah, it was really cool.
I heard there might be something in the works.
That'd be, I mean, that'd be great. The community could certainly use it. You
Yes,
know?
I heard there's something in the works.
Yeah, I mean,
Where will they play?
Two bands, 3 different bands on the bluff.
On the bluff?
I can't tell you where because we're working on it.
Are you back on the board?
No, it's not Venetian. It's not Venetian.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you guys off.
Get old PP back in the groove.
no, but I mean, just like the whole backdrop of the whole lake and everything. I mean, it's a wonderful place to play, and it's a wonderful place that people obviously will come to.
It wouldn't be up there. It would be everything on the bluffs, and everything be shut down by a certain time.
Yeah,
and then roads would be opened back up, and everything else like the city.
You know how
wants.
crazy that place would be down there.
Yeah.
On the bluff?
Well, but yeah, that's where they would want it.
Yeah, it's such a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It needs something like that.
I say bring back the barge, but
the barge.
yeah, they put a band on the barge.
Oh, okay.
on the-
Yeah.
on a rolling type
Stage.
stage on the river. So you have her on the river.
Now, where do you put the people?
On the bluff
On the beach.
no, it's right there on the river. And you know where the Autoradium is? We're across from Silver Harbor.
Okay.
In that big gully area, you have a little barge on pretty
Okay.
much
That's pretty neat.
a
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be.
Really? I didn't know that.
Back in when they first started the Venetian, that's where they had a river stage. And it was officially on the river.
Oh, wow. That's really neat.
And then they moved it to the beach to Whirlpool Field.
Oh, yeah. Where the
and
fountain is.
then they moved it to the pavilion for the final.
Huh. Yeah, that's really fun. I mean, every community has that, except for St. Joseph.
Yeah.
That's why we that's why a lot of people couple of people were diehard about it, and so he got approval. So
You get the inside source, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a great
Good.
idea.
Yeah, we're supposed to talk it on 100th, but I can't say it now. because
Shit, what do you- you give me a heads up?
he didn't get to say it, so
Will it be this year or next
Oh,
year?
okay.
next year
Okay.
we got
Yeah.
approval. We got approval for next year.
Wow. I'm just proud you guys got approval.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to get approval for anything in this town,
We
isn't
got
it?
approval from the we got
Right.
approval from the mayor.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
I know. No, there's going to be 3 different stages: one kid stage, one like alternative stage, and one main stage.
Oh, that's super. That's a great idea. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to bring all that stuff back.
So how many bands can you put in one show?
3.
3?
You can do 3. You can do an opener. Actually, that opener for the opener.
Yeah.
Then the opener, then the headliner.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call the guy. I don't
I think
know
it's-
band. I don't know call the band
It's
it's a starter. Like you're the pre.
right. It's everybody's support except for the band that goes on for the headliner. They refer to that as direct support.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so call the pre.
Super insulting.
The pre.
It's like when they say co-headliner. Wait a minute. I know who goes on last. I know who the headliner is.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
bullshit me with that.
Right.
Actually, Joe Louis Black that played at Nardos, great blues band player, great everything.
Okay.
He opened his own show, and then he let the band come up behind him do last because he wanted the people, that crowd that was there for him,
Right.
to stay for the last show.
Oh, that's fun. That's pretty neat.
He
Huh.
does it for all the shows.
Huh. So how often do they have bands down there?
So far it's been once a month.
Okay.
I don't know if he's gonna keep on doing it for once.
He
a month.
should.
I don't know if he's gonna do it once a month, but he got approval for his shows now.
Oh, you need a license to do that, right?
Yeah.
It's just so hard
And
anymore.
he got it.
Yeah,
got approval.
that's a
So
lot.
now, yeah, he can do that now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that about the way that the business is now, and this is, partially, a leftover from a COVID, where nobody worked for a long time. That bands are so expensive now;
Oh yeah.
they are ridiculously
Yes.
expensive. So, bringing in a high quality acts, people get upset. Like when we put shows together, they're like, "Why don't you bring Metallica?" Man, we don't have Metallica money. That's $1 million plus.
Exactly.
No, because they look at that you work at the Bear.
And they think that the bands want to come and they want to play for free because you're a radio station.
Because you play a hard rock radio station, so
Yeah.
they think you can get those hard
Yeah,
rock.
they're like, Metallica. I'm like, man, I don't know Metallica.
Just play that music.
Yeah, that's it. And so so people get upset. They're like, you should have bigger bands. Well, this was pre-COVID. People would get upset. You should have bigger bands. You should have somebody like Metallica or Avenged Sevenfold. When they were hot, those are $1 million bands.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody thinks about Venetian. When Venetian played, they always say, why don't you get someone like back in the day, Jimmy Buffett, or someone that could play the beach?
You know how much that would cost.
There is a set where there is an A list, a B list, a C list.
Right.
All of a sudden, there's a D list.
This is a D list community.
Then all of a sudden, you got the bottom of the fucking barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Where you got everybody below.
Yeah.
That's who we can get.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get enough supporters or sponsors, more sponsors we get, we can tell our promoter, say, hey, who can you get? We can get maybe the D-listers.
Yeah.
We're never going to get anybody else.
You're never going to get the big headliners.
No,
I mean, it just doesn't happen. And since COVID, since nobody worked for a couple of years, now they're cashing in. They want all that money back that they missed out on.
Yeah.
So bands are so outrageously priced.
He was shocked, actually. He was shocked when we were naming people that we got Venetian for Y Country. Like Luke Bryan. We had him here before he hit big.
Right.
Little Big Town. We hit them right before they played the Super Bowl.
Right.
They still stayed because country people love their acts.
Oh,
They
yeah.
want to stay. They don't care about the money. They care about the fans. So he was really shocked that all these bigger names that we had down here at Venetian, he was like, oh my God, we had this down here? What? We had this?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So we had all these people before they hit big.
Yeah.
But now can't afford it.
Yeah.
So,
Not even close.
Yeah.
So, but that's where you're going to end up now. The best you're going to do is like the Gin Blossoms, and people be surprised. I bet a Gin Blossom show is probably a $20,000 show.
Or Lit.
Yeah. I think Lit's more expensive. I don't think they need the money. I love the band Lit because
Everclear.
Yeah. Everclear just played that winery.
I know. No, I don't know how that no sense. I don't know how that fucking winery is affording all these people that they're getting.
It was packed. That
I know.
Everclear show was packed.
Well, they're getting big names at that fucking winery.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could sell tickets to get those.
How much was your ticket
Some
for
of that money back.
For Everclear?
Yeah. For when you were at
for Lit?
No, for Everclear.
I didn't go to the Everclear.
What I mean, what did you go see at the? What did you go see at?
I don't pay for those.
Oh, look.
I don't know what they cost.
Hand for that.
Look at him.
I didn't want that question.
He still answered it. though.
That's the question you didn't want to answer.
He still answered it.
No, but I think those Lit tickets, it was Lit. Fuel. Oh my God, were they terrible? And
yes.
Oh my God, they were bad.
They had these bigger bands.
Yeah, it was somebody that I'd never Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Lit, Fuel, and Stone Temple Pilots. But I think somebody told me that tickets were like $100.
And the funny thing is, they don't
pay for the tickets,
but they don't have that winery doesn't have a big section of area to sell this. I don't know how they do it because they have. If you haven't been there,
it's a wonderful venue.
It's a wonderful venue.
Nice.
Well, the acoustics of it go up. But so you have like here it is, and then you have seats here. You have a channel of water going.
Yeah, they call it a river, but it's a creek.
I say a channel of creek water. So you have that going there. Then you have a small patch of grass there, and then you got the parking lot.
Which isn't a parking lot. They use that for seating now.
Yeah.
And it's like double the.
But it's all flat. But after you get up past the creek, it's all flat. So if you sit behind somebody, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And they sell those tickets for about $35 a pop.
The ones way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Everclear, they were all the way back to that road at the back.
Just sit across the street and say, I'm buying a soda at the gas station and keep buying something, keep going there every 10, 15 minutes, buying a little piece of candy bar. And I'm sitting there on top of my car.
I hate to be it as the guy that wants to make money too, because if I was running that joint, I'd clear out all those tables.
Yeah.
There's so many tables. I'm like, how many people you could squeeze in here if you just booted those tables?
So yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, we go see shows there all the time. It's a really great spot. It was Everclear on Saturday night, but the night before they had a band called Yachtly Crew.
Yacht Crew.
Yeah, which is they're
great
almost like
band. I seen them.
Yeah, they're almost like Steel Panther except for Yacht Rock.
And they all wear. If you're a big fan, you have your hat.
Yeah,
you have your captain's hat, and you know who is a big fan of you all wearing the captain's hat on there, and
Yeah.
they have a great following.
Yeah.
Really?
And it was packed.
Yes,
So whoever's booking those shows, I mean, they
They-
do a lot of
they-
tribute acts,
they
which
have great money. They have to have
Yeah.
They have a good investor because that's insane.
well, tribute acts are great because people love to see them because they don't have the experience to
Yeah.
see the band, and you're going to get the same
Right.
knockoff. So
Right.
the tribute bands, by the way, command unbelievable money.
But here's a band that you might know that's going.
Oh.
Twista,
Oh, really?
Both Tongues in Harmony.
Oh yeah.
They are going there.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, was it somebody saying something like
It was
that?
me. I was telling you.
Okay, that's right.
Because I'm insane. It's insane. Bone Thugs and Harmony, Twista, and some other rat bands are going there
Yeah.
to play there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have whatever the genre is, they have
They-
all different
Okay.
genres.
Really?
Yeah.
And
It's
they're
a-
selling all their tickets for at least 45 and up.
We saw Power Man 5000 there last year.
I know. I almost went to that one. I almost went to
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, they have lots of
I had tickets, but I had to sell them to the they had the Wallers. They're Bob Marley.
Bob Marley's backing band.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had the Wallers there.
Yeah.
The whole band. I almost had tickets, but I had to sell.
Dude, if you get the chance, go up there. I mean, even if it's just, like a yacht rock night or whatever, it's just a cool,
Look,
laid back
thing,
vibe.
yeah.
I mean,
It is. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
They don't have booze. All they have is like beer and
and
wine.
Why?
So if you're a booze guy, you're gonna
Yeah.
struggle a little bit. I struggle.
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, you love the wine. Oh man, that sounds like
You're getting better at it. I got you into Tabor Hill. Not Tabor Hill, Lemon Creek.
yeah.
Yeah.
I drink wine every now
Yeah.
and then.
Is that carousel? The Silver Beach Carousel?
Yes,
That's a
yes.
great wine. I like it. It's sweeter than what I typically like, but I think that's a really solid wine. I enjoy it.
It is really sweet. It's $9 at the gas station down here. $9.99.
Don't lead the conversation with hey, don't listen to it when he says he bought it at the gas station. You could get it other places too.
You can get it at the gas station for $9. Every other place is $12.
No, Martin's it's like $8.50.
Oh, damn it.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's closer to my podcast.
Yeah.
No, I like that wine. It's a great wine. I like it with food. And I'm not a sweet wine guy, but I think like barbecue ribs and stuff
Oh,
like
that-
that. That's
yeah.
a really solid
Yeah.
wine to go with it.
Make me some ribs. I'll bring the wine.
Yeah, it may not be.
All right.
I just
We'll-
look for an
we'll invite
excuse to
Jason
drink.
with us.
Yeah.
His wife won't know you leave. He'll come in his Crocs.
No.
He'll come in his Crocs and his hoodie.
There's what's the name? What's the name of those shoes again?
The Hey Dude?
The Hey Dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry.
You have to get some of those, Joe. Those are really nice
I
shoes.
can't. They're too light.
No, people leave them at the end of the boardwalk all the
Oh,
time. Yeah, just try them
Keep
on.
your eyes open, okay?
That's right. I
Keep your eyes
switch them out with my coaches.
Yeah, leave those in there.
Yeah.
Listen,
Be
and leave a
fair
note.
trade.
Hey, you might like these better. I like yours.
It's like a little lending library.
Yeah.
And that's how we all got ringworm.
The funny thing is, that's how I got my first pair of sandals. Like,
Really?
I swear,
Gee.
there was a bunch of people coming up the stairs. I was going down there. Says, "Hey, you're leaving your flip flops." They said, "Nothing." I said, "Hey, you're leaving your flip flop." Nothing. And went, "Oh, looks like my son." I put them on, washed them, went back to my house. Freaked out. These flip flops were in my house because I was really intoxicated.
Pair of flip flops.
And I saw these weird pair of flip. Who the fuck's in my house? So I was looking around. I went, my house ain't that big. It's only 3 rooms. Who the fuck's in my house? So I checked every room but the bathroom. Went, oh, they're in the bathroom. My bathroom's always closed. Open up the bathroom. There's nobody here. Who the fuck? I'm gonna show this person. I washed them. Put these flip
Do they
flops
fit?
on.
Are they too small for you?
Oh, dude, they were like 2 sizes too big, but they fit perfect.
I'll grow into it like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I'll get there
I'll
someday.
grow
Yeah,
into
these will be
them.
mine.
I wore those out until my first dog ate them. Ate them down to nothing. I
Yeah.
went, oh, my flip flops.
Karma's a bitch.
It was. So I gotta find. So I told myself I gotta find a new pair, and I did. I bought them up.
No, good job, Joe. Somebody's gonna catch on to your shenanigans.
My shenanigans. There's no
Yeah.
shenanigans.
It's better than paying $125 for
Yeah, you're right.
flip flops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
these
right.
are. These are.
Jesus
They look good.
Christ. I think Old Navy has those for what, like $3?
Huh?
$125 for that.
Oh, those are slides. Those aren't even flip flops. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course
they're
they were $125.
You gotta be
Jesus.
I'm serious. I wasn't joking about my flip flops.
I'm not talking about the price.
Yeah, 125. I looked them up.
You gotta be kidding me, man. What is this world going to?
Just it's
The hell in the handbasket.
how our lovely camera lady says they are 125 just because
Really?
of
You looked
just
it up?
because of the name.
Do the fact check.
Just
me?
because of the name. Just because of the name. It's just because of
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's stupid.
Just remember, if you're not going to pay it, somebody else will.
Somebody else. Yeah,
Yep.
you're right.
I didn't pay shit.
Somebody paid it.
So I have a couple more questions for you before we really wrap it down. With you moving from here, from actually leaving here and getting let go,
Right.
how'd you get the job at the Bear though?
Did
They approached you, but
Yeah.
so once you got there, who'd you take over for? Because I can't remember.
Bob and Tom. Yeah, they had Bob and Tom down there, and
That's right.
and
That's what was bugging me.
and the radio station, everybody, all the salespeople at the radio station, they were angry, very upset. They did not like us when we walked in
Why?
because Bob and Tom at that time, and again, this is credit to Tommy Carroll,
Oh.
again, one of the greatest PDs in the entire nation. He saw what was happening with that show, so he wanted to get the jump on everybody else. But and because he saw that the show was in decline, the ratings were in decline, the revenue was in decline, everything was in decline, and he knew that one guy wanted out of the show anyway.
Yeah.
And so he, before everybody else, he said, "All right, I got to put a team together so that so that when everything eventually happens, these guys are up and ready and they're running and they're good." And he did it. He got a 6-month jump on all the other radio stations in the country that were forced to do the same thing. But the rest of the station, they were unhappy because, and we didn't deal with a lot of pushback either. We had a couple people that were pissed because Bob and Tom were gone, but other stations in town have been throwing Bob and Tom on. They don't do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've outlasted Bob and Tom in South Bend. We've beaten Bob and Tom on 3 different stations in South Bend. We've beat them on 3 different stations in Fort Wayne.
So they must be losing their edge.
They're just dying.
They're getting old.
Yeah, they're a dead show,
Yeah.
and that shtick is tired. It's not real. And
I didn't think they're real after a while.
no, people, so radio stations, again, they don't want to adapt. They say we got to try something new, but they keep gravitating to the same old tired shit.
Yeah.
And so they keep throwing Bob and Tom at us. They threw free beer and hot wings at us in Fort Wayne, and we've killed everyone.
Yeah.
We've murdered everyone in that town.
In your opinion, what would be a good formula to keep a radio station floating? I mean, not floating, but thriving.
Ooh.
It's all image. It's all image. It's image and attitude and connecting with your listener. And how do you connect with your listener? You have to have live radio. I mean, as simple as it sounds, and the fraction of your audience that will pick up the phone and call your radio show, or like, we don't do any phone calls. We do straight texting. So the percentage of your audience that you will ever interact with as part of the show is at best 3%. At absolute best is 3%. It's usually right around 1%.
Yeah.
1 out of every 100 people will actually pick up a phone and communicate with the show. But the fact that you're communicating is noticed by the other 99%. So that's where the connection is. And you have to connect with your audience. You have to have a live show in there. That's the only way you can do it. You can't have somebody come in, and voice tracking is a big thing. I've got friends that are voicing they voice track for 19 different stations. Every morning they get up, they do voice tracks for 19 different stations, and then they go to work or whatever it is they do with the rest of their day. You can't connect with an audience like that, because all you're doing is going, that was coming up. We got this, and this, and this. Don't forget, we got Dr. Rock. He's going to be at the Verizon store this Friday from 5 until 7. Stop down. You might win a pair of concert tickets. That's not connecting with your audience.
Right.
That's all radio is now. Until they get over that hump.
But you guys do stuff for Notre Dame football games.
Yeah. Dude, we've shaken, we have shaken every single hand in South Bend.
That's what I'm saying.
The first, 5-10 years of our show, we shook COVID put a stop to that, when basically everything shut down. But we went out purposely and we shook every single hand in that city. Payoff? You bet it did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because we've got 1 million friends. We got 1 million friends that we have, in that town, because we made that connection.
So, oh yeah, I was supposed
And
to.
it wasn't done at a Verizon store with Dr. Rock. It
Right,
was about
right.
doing
Yeah.
fun shit.
Yeah.
You know, like a Notre Dame
Keep
tailgate
them engaged.
or bringing, you know, bands to town or, you know, it was all through doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to do the Verizon stores and crap like that. Yeah. But it was the other fun stuff that you get out there and you shake the hands.
I was supposed to say, I don't know if he's still watching. Jimmy Crawford says hi.
Jimmy Colford.
Yeah.
He's a last mango.
Yes.
I just saw the last
Yes.
mangoes a couple weeks ago. I love Jimmy and I love Mike
Yes.
Monestra. They're
Yes.
two of the best people in this town.
Yes. He wanted me to tell you to say hi.
Yeah. He's such a great
Yeah,
dude.
he actually I went to my messenger. I'm thinking, oh wait, Nardo might say something. I might as well ask. Look at that. And Jimmy says, tell Jason I said hi.
Yep, great dude. I just saw him a couple weeks ago. They were playing down at the at Planks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that show?
It was good.
I didn't get to go to it because I was out of town.
We had been to about 4 grad
The
parties.
Incredible Johnsons.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no, the last
Ben-
mangoes.
Yeah,
Last
it was different
mangoes
band, different band.
is a Jimmy Buffett tribute band.
Yeah, we had been to about 4 grad parties before I got down there, so things were getting kind of blurry.
Oh,
around
that was the
time.
weekend you missed your one show. Then you went to the.
That was a different weekend.
Oh.
Are you not familiar with the grad parties in this town? Grad parties in this town.
I'm done. My daughter's 20.
They're like weddings now.
Yeah,
People are throwing
yeah.
these grad parties. Like, you know, my daughter graduated this year. So, you know, we had to throw this grad party. You know, I've had 3 daughters and all of them have graduated from high school and throwing these grad parties. I mean, it is as much stress on my wife as a wedding could ever possibly be.
Oh man.
And the amount of money that people are throwing at these grad parties, you know,
Yeah.
you show up at a house, they've got the big circus tent and they've got, you know, live music and dude, it's nuts.
Wow. What's
Yeah,
that?
You don't want to know what's at mine.
Well, yeah. What was your grad party like?
Did you
Well,
have them?
mine
Because
is-
we didn't
yes.
have them.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
What you have?
I had an open bar, lower, 5 kegs, a petting zoo, a dunk tank, and a bounce house.
Wait a minute.
So that's a so that's
I just remember my grad party. It sucked.
yeah.
Then whatever is left for all the kegs and all the liquor went back to my house where I live, where my parents are at, and I live above. And then we all had a party upstairs in my house, and whatever is beers left, alcohol's left. My mom says, "Keys for everybody.
Yeah.
Give me all your keys."
Yeah.
And she was the key holder, because back then key holders were awesome.
Just one thing. You said you had a petting zoo.
Yes, I did.
What animals did you have?
Goats, sheeps, and
Did you have-
chickens.
What the fuck? did you
And
get petting
ducks.
zoo?
What are those angry ducks that chase you when you're down by the river? That's what you should have loaded that thing up with. You're like, go ahead, pet the ducks.
I want a
I
petting
can't believe the ducks fucked everyone up at my party.
Take
I want a,
video
I
pictures.
want a petting zoo.
Take videos of you being chased by ducks.
I
So that's always been a thing in this area.
what?
These huge
You
grad
Yes.
parties.
They've got ridiculous.
Yes.
Apparently, they've gotten bigger.
They
since-
got bigger.
Oh, dude,
now.
they're nuts. Yeah.
Now you can get
And
a-
it sucks because I can look down on it and I'm like, I can't believe how big they got. Hey, I've spent the
But-
same money as everybody
Yeah.
else.
but you get lucky out of it though, because now you can get a food truck and say, here, the food truck.
Oh yeah.
You can pay for the money. The money is yours. Let them pay for it. But or you
Oh,
could
no,
say,
nobody
or,
does
no,
that.
or you could
Yeah,
say,
you don't want to do that.
or
No.
you could say so much money.
Yeah.
The rest after that.
Yeah.
You go on.
Dude, it's unreal.
I
My
love it.
brother came up a couple of weeks ago to visit. He still lives in Illinois, and I was like, all right, the weekend we went to see Lit and the Great Affairs and all those shows, and he came up and I said, hey, we got to go to these grad parties. I was like, don't worry, it's real cool. I said, it's not like a kid's party.
No.
I said, there's a bar at every one of these parties. I said, it's just a grown up party at all of these things.
Yeah.
Another reason for adults to get,
Yeah.
get
So he
drunk.
was a little
Yeah.
weird about it. He's like, I don't know. I don't want to go to a high school party. I'm like, it's not a high school party. All the parents are there. I said, but they all have bars. And
No, of course.
and yeah, the first one we showed up, he's like, is this a thing? And I'm like, all of them are going to be like this. I said, we got 6 of them to go to this weekend and they're all going to be like this. He's like, so let me get this straight from the day that school ends until like the middle of July. Every weekend you just go out and drink for free. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. It's like taco bars and drinking for free because
Yeah.
that's what everybody has.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, it's super
it is
fun.
a
Yeah.
taco bar.
I mean, you know, sometimes you sit back and you think you get a little down on yourself. You're like, I can't believe I contribute to this, but you know, we all do.
And then, yeah, definitely.
So I have another question about the Bear. With your shows that you get and the tailgating that you guys do,
Right.
do you guys do any other tailgating besides football, or is it just football that you guys do for big that you like to do, or is it also women's basketball? Because women's basketball, no offense, makes probably as much money as the football games.
I don't think
Close
so.
to. I
No,
I would say no, but I say
I don't think
Notre
so.
Dame football, yes, is always going to.
Is the enthusiasm the same? Some years
No,
the
but
enthusiasm is
women
definitely the same.
basketball is almost better than men's basketball.
Oh, at Notre Dame, without a doubt.
You can say that.
So,
definitely,
absolutely.
without
So,
Yeah.
do you guys do anything for the women's or men's basketball? Here? No,
No, oh,
just for football.
no, we just do the football one because women's basketball is what? That's in the dead cold of
Cold
winter.
winter,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no
like
doubt.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
We're huge pussies. I'm gonna be honest with you. When it starts getting cold,
Michigan now.
dude, I'm telling you, when it starts getting cold out, like they have those November games.
Yeah.
They're like it's a November night game. We're like, we're not doing
No,
a
I
tailgate
wouldn't-
for
I
that.
wouldn't do
It's
that.
up in the UP.
Yeah, we're huge pussies, man. We're indoor
Yeah,
cats.
Still
Yeah.
get cold.
Yeah, we belong inside. If it's in August, what's the first game of the season? Usually what? Labor Day
September-
weekend?
September.
We're like,
No,
hell
no, it's
yeah, let's
Labor
do
Day
a tailgate that
yeah,
weekend.
Labor Day
Or
weekend.
actually, it's not this year. Labor Day. It's the weekend after because they're in Florida State the first week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it. As long as we can wear shorts, we're
Oh,
all
yeah,
about
definitely.
that. Man, that first time it snows or the first time it frosts,
Oh.
we're like, yeah, we're
I
done with it.
wear a
this
kilt
up.
the first game.
Oh,
I usually wear my kilt the first game
nope.
Of course we
You-
do.
because I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
No,
I
no,
would
no.
love to see one of you guys' shows. Every time I always try to get tickets, then I think, oh shit, I forgot about the whole your guys' shows over there because you guys have a phenomenal spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got a great spot, and
Yeah.
and we're kind of narrowing it down a little bit, and so we're only doing like 1 or 2 a year. But now, what we're trying to do is make it. We always wanted to make it bigger than everybody else in town,
Yeah.
right? We have the
You
biggest, loudest, most obnoxious tailgate in South Bend, but now
Close.
we're trying to bring in national acts.
Ooh,
So
There you go.
we've had Saliva.
I know. I almost had tickets to that one, but I forgot about it.
You know a guy, right?
I know.
Shallow Side was there last year.
Don't look at me, people.
That was it. Non-point. We always try to bring in a national act once a year. So I mean, the thing about that's so great, and this is something that I love that a radio station does, is we tried to put together things that are like a one of a kind experience. Like how many people, I mean, and this sounds funny when you say it out loud. It sounds hilarious. I love how it sounds when you say it out loud, but people will tell the story of, they'll always bring the story up.
Yeah.
How many people saw Saliva in a tire store parking lot? How many people saw Non-Point
Yeah.
in a tire store parking lot? Or like we had a podcast about 6 months ago down in Fort Wayne, and we just did like a living room concert with Pop Evil. How many people got to see Pop Evil do like a VH1 Storytellers podcast
Oh, sorry.
when there were like 25 people there? Super cool, man.
Raise
Yeah.
your hand.
And you can remember that always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I saw Pop Evil when they played Intersection, and I sat down with them and talked to them.
They're great dudes. They're all great
down to
dudes.
earth, down to earth,
Yeah.
down to earth.
Yeah.
And
So we did a podcast.
It's all a how they play their music and everything else about every single band that I ever met. It's an image.
Yeah.
It's an image. That's all it is.
I love that, like with Pop Evil, because we were going to do this, like this VH1 Storytellers were like, they were all about it. They wanted to do it, and we're like, cool. We'll do a podcast. We'll just record a podcast, and we'll turn it into a podcast. And we thought it'll be 20 minutes in and out. Then we can hit the bar and get on with our Friday night. It ended up being like an hour and 20 minutes, just because we had so much fun. And they were so down. We got so wrapped up in these super deep conversations, not conversations that you would typically have, right? Usually they're like, how much coke did you do today? How many girls did you bang today? You got to ask those dumb shit questions, right?
Yeah.
But I for the life of me, I can't think of the singer's name. But he had just lost his dad, and part of the new Pop Evil record was. It's Lee, right? Lee is his
Yeah.
name. Part of the new record was about dealing with the death of his father. And it was like the timing was perfect because I had just lost my dad and Cluck had lost his dad just a couple of years before that. So it was all, like in that weird spot. So we ended up in these way deeper conversations than we should have in front of an audience, which made it really special, really cool, for the people that were there to see that sort of back and forth. Yeah, it was really neat.
Wow.
It's an awesome.
And nobody hit record, by the way. I'm going to throw that in too. So
Nobody hit
when we
record.
got done with it, and I was like, all right, tip top.
Oh shit!
I was like, holy shit. I said, it's not stopping. It didn't stop because the whoever was supposed to hit record didn't hit record.
We had a show like
It
that.
was so great.
We had a show like that.
We were even doing this saying to each other, I'm like, holy shit, I can't wait for people to hear this podcast. This is so fucking great. We thought it was gonna be 20 minutes of nonsense and fluff. And then it ended up being this really deep conversation. We're like, I can't wait for people to hear this.
Everybody that got to hear it only got to hear it.
It was just there were 28 people there that got to hear it.
Oh man.
Yeah. And we talked about it
happen
forever. We're like, oh man, if you guys could have been there, if you could have been there, it's so great.
I know that's what we say about our one of our shows that we one of our ex camera people hit, and he says, "Oh, I didn't hit record."
Well, he didn't know he
didn't know he recorded.
Hit it.
He said, "Hey, we
now I
said,
went over there and looked. I was like, oh man, he didn't hit record at all."
I said, what?
Too.
It's the most hollow feeling.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh,
I said,
no.
damn it, we gotta do this again. And then we told the two people around, we gotta do this again.
Yeah,
We gotta do this at least tomorrow or the next.
We had to set reschedule,
But you gotta be in the same same stories.
You have to share the same enthusiasm that you did the first time, and you can't ever recapture that. It's impossible.
No,
They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't at all.
Yeah, we didn't tell anybody till Monday. We got back to work and we're like, shit, what happened? We played it off. Yeah, we noticed it didn't record. We're like, well, maybe we should just go have some drinks and just watch the show.
But yeah, you guys do an awesome time with Notre Dame football, with Notre Dame, with South Bend, and everything else.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. We have fun.
So my only last question is that I can have would be with everything that you came into and now you're topping the charts.
Right.
How does that make you feel? Because you say you're number one in this, you're number one in that.
It's funny because it's supposed to make you feel a certain way, right? But it's just I don't know if this is the callous answer or not, but it's just we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
Most radio guys,
That's
most radio guys when they're number one, they're not going to let you fucking forget about it.
That's
Right.
right.
They're going to constantly talk about it. But we're like, I know Cluck takes it more seriously than I do. He gets a little more enthusiastic about, if there's anybody that loves to read his own name or hear his own name out loud, it's Warren. He loves that shit. But I just look at it as, I don't know. It's what we're supposed to do. And I know that's easy to say, but it's also, I don't know. To me, I don't know. A lot of times it's a little bit embarrassing. I don't know. I don't know why. It is.
You're humble.
I don't know if it's humble or not.
Go along with the
It's
callous part.
It's just,
Yeah.
I don't.
You've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if you want to see me lock up a lot of times, man, like if somebody will stop me and want to talk to me about it, a lot of times I'll lock up a little bit, and then because people are like, you don't understand what you guys do in the morning and how it helps me start my day. And we've talked to people, and, this is the hard stuff is when you talk to people that are like, listen, man, I was going through a very hard time. And there was one guy in particular. He's like, I was going through a very hard time in my life. And he said, I dropped my daughter off at daycare or school or daycare, whatever. And he said, I have every intention. I was going to go home and kill myself.
Wow.
And he said, I got wrapped up in the show that day. And by the time the show was over, I was like, all right, I can face the day. And I'm like, that's the heaviest shit ever.
Yeah, definitely.
And he goes, I just wanted to tell you that. And I said, I would like it better if you didn't tell me stuff like that. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, yeah, that stuff. Yeah. Some of that stuff gets, it gets real heavy, man. And, we have people that there was a guy, he said, God, I can't remember what he was in an accident and he had 12 months of physical therapy, like inpatient physical therapy, whatever it was, putting his broken body back together.
Yeah.
It took a year. And he said, every single morning I got up and with the nurses and I would spend the whole show, learning how to walk again, learning how to tie my shoe again. And he said, and those aren't people that you're in contact with every day. You're not, I just happened to bump into the guy at wherever we were, and he goes, "I just want to tell you." And when somebody tells you that, I just want to tell you, all of a sudden I get, because you never know what story's coming.
Coming out, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It could be something like I was going to kill myself, but I listened to it, but then the show was over and I said, all right, I could finish there. Or they're just like, I just want to tell you, man, thanks for what you guys do. Either way, it's great to hear. It's amazing.
Good.
It's very humble. I like that. I
Well,
really do. I like
that's good that you can definitely make brighten people's day.
Yeah. You try not
on
to
a
think about
daily
it though.
Yeah, yeah.
You
on a
try,
daily basis.
it's, the same thing with, I don't know, how often do you look at your podcast numbers?
I do.
Do your analytics show you where everybody's listening?
Yeah.
It
Okay.
does.
I don't look at those either.
He doesn't. I
don't. I try not to.
He
But
doesn't even listen to the shows.
It fucks with your head.
Yeah.
Because we look at the analytics for our podcast and we look at the analytics for streaming our radio show, and it's all over the world.
Yeah.
And when you see stuff like that, it does weird things to your head. All you want to think about is I'm talking to a 2-block radius at most.
Yeah.
Mostly I just say I'm talking to the people in the room. That's it.
In other words, you don't want to know that because it gets back to you.
You get messages, you get people that text a show from South Africa. You get people that text a show from like Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They're like, we're in a war zone, whatever, but we're chiming in on that. That messes with your head. So all that stuff I block out because that weirds me out.
Yeah.
I'm too simple for that.
He doesn't.
I understand that.
Yeah, he understands that because he doesn't listen to the show after we do one.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen to it at all.
I don't like go back and
I look at that. I look at because I do the bookings, so I look at who did what did what, who what did what, and I do all that. I think of my mastermind head in my head.
Yeah, I stay away from that stuff, man.
I have to because I do the booking, so I do that stuff where I'm thinking, okay, but still, it doesn't matter to me if I get 12 views to 25 views. That's the least that we've ever had so far. It was 25 views on our YouTube page.
Right.
So I look at
it's getting bigger.
And I look at that and I'm thinking, okay, it doesn't matter. If I get below 12, I know what people really are looking at.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I understand what you're saying because of him. Because that man right there did not do shit after we do this.
It's too much, man.
Yeah, I don't want that stress.
That being said, it is good to know, and I'm usually repulsed by that kind of stuff, but also, like, we have a guy that texts the show all the time that lives in South Africa, and he's always chiming in on shit, and so there's the thing that you have to realize that, wait a minute, this dude has spent his entire life in South Africa. This is what he knows. This is where he lives, but we're connecting. We're connecting with him. There's something that he hears on the show, which means whatever we're doing is more universal as opposed to like hyper local, where you're talking about the Speedway gas station down the street. There's somehow something about the lifestyles stuff that we talk about is connecting with someone we'll never meet.
Right.
We'll never go to his town. I mean, but somehow he sees himself in the show, which is incredibly flattering.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. All right, guys, it's 9:08 p.m. We're gonna wrap it up, guys. We do at the end of the show, we do a shout out, more like a shout out to
like a final thought, like Jerry Springer.
So
okay.
We can do shout outs to anybody you want, upcoming events, things of that nature.
We do.
I don't know if we have anything to shout out. You can just check out everything like our podcast and listen to the show, jlnkshow.com. Or obviously, 1039 The Bear, 98.9 The Bear. That's about all we really have to plug. I really don't know what else to plug.
That's it then.
Yeah, don't be shocked when you hear the podcast because it gets pretty filthy sometimes. My wife's friends always want to check it out. And some of them are like, I can't believe you talk like that. And I'm like, I'm not the person I pretend to be when I'm around you, right? I'm a different person.
I warned you. Go ahead, Joe. We'll wrap this up.
I know. I'm thinking. All right. I think I got something. All right. Jason, yeah, we go way back because you did live next to my grandfather, and God rest my Opa's soul because he was a great man. But my thing was with you. When I first met you, you were awesome then, and you're still awesome now because you moved on and you're still a wholesome family man because who you are is not what people see. I seen when you're with your kids and everything else, that is the man I always saw. And you're a great man for being a great father and a great husband. And then it goes on from there to your personality as a radio host and a podcast host. You're phenomenal at that even more because your personality is spot on. You keep on rocking it out and you keep on going.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. When anytime somebody tells you that you're a great parent, that's the highest
Yeah.
compliment you could get.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Unless you have like a 12-inch dong or something. That'd be pretty cool too. They'd be like, you got a foot long, you got a foot long dick. I'd be like,
It's the button right.
like
Good
that's the
job,
nicest thing
James.
anybody said to me.
Hey, good job, Jay. You hit the right button. Like you're playing that.
No, I wasn't, man. I was like, I gotta hit something now. All right. Jason, thanks for joining us on the show, man.
I appreciate it, man. You guys are doing great work.
This is first time meeting you, and it's been a pleasure to just listen to your stories and how you come along from day one to now. I appreciate it because I can take something from that and apply it to this because it takes a lot of work to do.
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And you put in the work over almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? You put in some work. I don't want to make you sound outdated or old or anything, but thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it so much.
If you ever have any questions, you anytime get a hold of me.
We'll do.
Yeah.
We'll do. All right, guys. This is our 102nd episode. Please join us next week, Monday at 8 p.m. We'll be who's on, Joe?
I know. I knew you were going to ask that.
We'll get it together. All right.
Actually, Woodstock and Barrel.
Woodstock and Barrel.
It's a food truck that
Okay.
has a VFW
Food
for
time. Let's get some food in here so we
a
can snack.
VFW for a smoker.
Okay. All right. Guys, if you're watching YouTube, please like, subscribe, and please hit the notification buttons so you can get more content when we put out every Monday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Guys, I'm James Gill, your host. This is Joe Hill, the co-host.
Good to be here.
Thank you, Jason Lee, joining us tonight. We had a pleasure hanging out with you, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys. We're going to get out of here. Oh, Dana, thank you once again. You did a great job behind the scenes. I appreciate you.
Doing great.
All right, guys. We're getting out of here. We'll see you later. See you next week.